Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
And Chisholm hits one in the air, deep to right. Castellanos turns around, there it goes! Adios, amigo! Smooth jazz. Jazz Chisholm, his second home run of the night.
Here he is, and he drives one high and deep into right field, toward the bullpen. It is gone over the Red Sox bullpen. Massa, a 2-run blast, and it is 4-0 Red Sox.
Swing a ball belted deep out to left field, and Michael A. Taylor is slammed one out of here. A huge 3-run homer off Hader. Michael A. Taylor puts the Pirates on top, 5-2.
To left center and deep. Get up! Get up! Get out of here! Gone for Willie. And the Brewers have just taken the lead.
And here's Bobby Witt Jr. First pitch. Fastball lifted deep to left field. Benintendi back on the track. It's out of here. Bobby Witt Jr. delivers a go-ahead grand slam.
Protecting the football and playing clean football, and I think that we did that throughout the spring. Got better as the spring went through. Felt like we became more explosive this spring, throwing the football. Is a huge emphasis. We love to run the football, and we can manufacture ways to run the football. But we said going into spring, we have to throw the football. Have to be able to throw the football, and I think we came out feeling that we improved and are in a position to continue to improve to get to where we need to be to throw the football this year.
Good morning. Welcome into Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage. What's up, DB?
Hi.
Hello.
What's up?
Nothing.
I feel like you're making fun of how I responded. I came in with my grand entrance.
You did, but that wasn't on the air, so, might have to recreate.
I think you got to be able to appreciate how I can just make up words in any song and make it seem like it makes sense.
Yeah, like last night we had an argument,
Last night we had an argument. I'm telling you, that should be the words.
My buddy Evan thought that was hilarious.
Dude, I'm funny. But the embarrassing but funny thing is, I did think that was the real words. I don't know if it's a TikTok thing and they AI'd it.
Yeah.
But this whole time I thought that was the words. But I did like how Sasha tried to console me and make me feel better. And she goes, well, kind of. It's basically about an argument.
That's the general vibe.
No,
of the song.
But that should be the words. So this morning it was
some country song.
No.
That was country.
No, it was the song with Sheryl Crow and
Kid Rock?
Yes.
Sheryl Crow's country.
Is she?
I think so.
I don't know.
Maybe.
But anyway.
Maybe I'm thinking Shania Twain. Shania Twain's country.
You get all your Cheryls and Shanias.
I mean, it's a shh.
I'm just glad Shania didn't fit the namesake. But anyway.
Like Mark Twain?
Yeah, sure. Let's pin that one. No, so I made it about grocery shopping and getting ribeyes.
You do like ribeyes.
I took my ribeye away.
Yeah. I smell like beef. I don't know if that would be as popular of a song, although that is considered.
I made up 2 verses just walking around getting set up for the show. That's pretty impressive.
It is impressive. I don't know where that talent gets you.
Nowhere. Well, you know what it does? It gets me a stay of execution in my own head because I have to mentally prepare for the Olympics, known as this show, every day. I feel like a heptathlete.
Heptathlete?
Whatever.
I thought you were.
You thought it was hepatitis?
Yeah, I was like, maybe I should scoot over a little bit.
Fudge! I thought I was gonna get it from some bad watermelon I bought yesterday.
Ooh,
man, I was so mad.
Bad watermelon's real bad.
Hey, that joker. I mean, it tasted like sour milk.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it cuts so pretty.
I didn't even know that watermelon could taste like that.
Yeah, man, it had a little acidic. I almost
It's like mealy.
who?
Mealy? You know, like when it gets like too
Rondale, the running back from LSU.
No,
He wore number 7. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yeah, it's a deep pull.
Like Wan'Dale Robinson?
Did he wear 7? No,
No.
he wore 21 and 1.
I was just doing Dales,
Dales?
like Earnhardt.
Oh, I thought you meant like Chip, and I was like, what? It's kind of weird. No, but it was terrible.
Yeah,
Yeah. Now, granted, it only cost me $3.98.
kind of a get what you pay for situation there.
No, I mean,
I don't know. I don't know how much a watermelon's supposed to cost.
so you know how I listen to the show that precedes us coming in.
Yeah,
The Pat Costello Get Over It.
yeah.
Michelle was upset that she paid $6 for an organic heirloom tomato. Does that seem excessive?
That seems like a lot for a single tomato. Yeah.
Yep, I'd have given that back.
Yeah,
No,
right.
I've made some mistakes
No, thank you.
at the checkout line.
Yeah.
Misread a few things. Didn't quite get the per pound.
Mm.
A few times, probably a handful, 4 or 5.
Math is hard sometimes.
Okay, that's not what I was saying. It's more like reading the fine print.
Oh, sorry. Reading is hard sometimes.
Wow.
Come on, Matthew.
Which, by the way, because my man B2 Boyce, he gave me I found a place to order some readers on Amazon,
Okay.
and
That's good.
I can pick the magnification.
That's important.
So the only thing that I'm gonna roll the dice with before I hit send, because it's in my checkout.
Okay.
I just hope they're not for like little skinny European heads. Like I need to have some glasses that when I put them on, like the what do you call the things that go
The
behind
temples.
that go behind your ears?
Yeah, they're the temple pieces.
Is that what they really call them?
Well, so you got the
Didn't you make glasses?
yeah, the part that goes back is called the temple because it goes by your temple, and then the part that wraps around your ear is called the earpiece because it goes by your
Okay,
ear.
so I don't want the temple earpieces to look like a V.
yeah, you
Right?
want it,
Yeah.
you want the frame, this part of the glass to be wide enough
to fit my melon.
so that it's
No-
not like
No
with
pun
the
intended. Yeah.
temple pieces going whoop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
Stone Temple Pieces.
Whoop. Yep.
Shane, what song did the Stone
Inter-
Temple Pieces sing?
Interstate Love Song. Interstate Love Song. That's Stone Temple Pilots.
Yeah, that sounds
Big
like
Begging Baby.
that sounds like something dumb you'd have had on that playlist of yours.
That's not a bad song. It's all right.
It's a good song.
It's probably on my
STP's okay.
it's probably on my phone somewhere.
STP.
Oh yeah.
The stuff you put in your car?
Oh, so that's like oil. Oil?
You can't call them STP.
I mean, can't. Maybe he's deep into the Stone Temple Pilots lore. He's deep in it.
Well, might have been.
Maybe it's hard to say. It is hard.
So the DJ can't spin. I guess not.
By the way, did you say good morning to Mike J. Schaefer,
I did.
who we will have on in just a few hours?
Yeah, I think he was being passive aggressive about having not gotten the link yet.
Yeah. Shane, what's the matter with you?
Well, you know, Shane had a little bit of tough morning. It's okay.
Yeah.
We're having some technical issues.
Where was his internet?
I don't know.
I think he just makes that up.
I can't like find it. I'm not like searching around the room for it.
Oh, come on, Shane.
Shane, you didn't have the internet this morning?
It wasn't. I had some of it, but I didn't have all of it. It wasn't being. The page wasn't being cooperative.
You had some of it, but not all of it?
Yeah, the page that I needed to be on and to move stuff around wasn't working. Still isn't really.
Yeah, I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
Me neither.
I don't even
think
recognize it.
wet.
Do you think Schaefer is driving clear across town since he lives in Beatrice to go watch the young players move into the dorms?
Is that a thing people are doing?
I hope. You never know with fans. No, because I don't think it would be too awkward to navigate the lamb dab smack in the middle of campus, which is where that dorm situation would be.
I don't know. That seems
Kinda weird.
That seems pretty weird.
Hey,
to
what are you
me.
guys doing? I'm watching move-in day.
Yeah, just watching these 18-year-olds move in. That's a little weird.
Yeah.
There's some I get the obsession. Like don't get me, I get it.
This is my obsession.
I don't know what you're trying to sing this time.
Usher.
Confession?
Yes.
Okay. It's a little bit of a stretch. I'm just gonna be honest with you.
No,
like
it's
a little
both,
bit of a stretch.
Both ends in Eschens.
Lots of things do, DB.
Which, by the way, man, I forgot. I have to call my man Cameron Sessions back.
Okay.
His son just moved into the district as a freshman.
There you go.
That dude could run the rocket north.
Yeah.
Oh, reminded me of Clinton Portis. Went down that rabbit hole yesterday.
Which one? With Clinton?
Oh, Portis, yes. He was so nice. Oh, my God.
I just did a thing in my head because you were talking about North. I was thinking Clinton Childs, and you said Clinton Portis, and I was like...
And that is his cousin. Cam Sessions is related to Clinton Childs.
Okay. So, there, yeah, I was having a whole thing there, and I was like, oh, Clinton Portis is not from Omaha.
Yeah, he was not. Hey, who was the character that he played when he was evading taxes and doing money schemes?
Oh, I don't know.
Remember, he always used to dress up in character.
I remember the thing, but I don't remember what is.
He was magnificent. And what did I send you last week or the week before last? Which Miami running back was that? And I go, he was so sweet. It was on TikTok.
I thought it was McGahee.
Was it? Yeah, it was.
I thought it was McGahee.
It was McGahee.
Yeah, because then we got talking about how there were like 8 really good backs. In that backfield.
Superman crush.
Just ridiculous.
And it's bugging me because they're crowding my backfield affinity.
Yeah,
a lot of running backs I like played at the U.
It's a tough look.
3 of them in particular.
Portis, McGahee,
and my goat.
I always forget
the one of the greatest nicknames ever. Edge.
Oh yeah, Edgerrin James.
Yes.
I always know it's not in that group, but I always forget. I always forget about Edgerrin James. I don't know why.
He's incredible.
Yeah, he was good. He's very good.
He's an HOFer. Watch your mouth out.
He's very good. What do you want me to say? He's very.
I want you to say he's
a Hall of Famer.
Thank you.
There you go.
Wow, just appeasing me already.
He's a very. I mean, I don't.
Do you like my rankings?
I don't have.
Nobody liked ESPN's rankings until Damon was 1.
Yeah, I feel like everybody was okay with that in Nebraska, at least.
Yeah.
I don't know if Oklahoma Tyler loved it, but
of course, because his guy Baker Mayfield was 2.
Yeah.
Although I like Baker, I've said this, I like Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't put him 2, but
2 seems high.
It's way high. Although, if you go back, like we're sleeping on how good he was, though. So he wasn't too good.
So I think what he gets credit for is being really good over multiple years.
Yeah, he was.
A lot of guys on this list, like the guy right behind him, had one good year. Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of one really good year guys on this list.
Yeah. I mean, college is hard.
No, yeah, I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying I think that's where Baker gets the bump.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know what to do with like a Baker versus a Tebow.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tebow gets a little bit of hate because he was not an NFL quarterback. But like in a vacuum in college, are you taking Baker Mayfield over Tebow?
This is going to be like
or is it depending on the offense?
This is going to be like the hottest take of ever.
You're taking Baker?
I think Tebow is extremely overrated as a college quarterback.
Really?
Hot take.
Yes. Extremely.
Please
overrated.
Expound.
I watched their offense, right? Mm-hmm. QB power, QB sweep. It reminds me. Plus, he played with a ridiculous amount of talent.
Sure.
He just wasn't dynamic. Like every time he touched the ball, I wasn't thinking like, ooh, something good is going to happen. I was like, wake me up after he runs for 5 yards at a time, 20 times down the field, and they score.
And they still couldn't stop him, though.
Yeah, that doesn't have anything to do with my wow factor.
No, but
I don't confuse the results with what caught my eye. Like, I get the fact that they were good. They were really good. I just think we like if you go back, it wasn't like these dynamic performances. It was very methodical and it was very
grindy,
very workmanlike.
Yeah, it was
and you know, that was before I knew Urban Meyer, because it's not like I was going back and watching, you know, Alex Smith. I didn't realize, like, when he got in trouble, what a crutch the QB run game was for him.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So it took me a while to start to get into that pattern. And then I had to see it post Florida. But, yeah, I'm not in on – the accolades are incredible.
Yeah,
but
the accolades, the
stats, it didn't fit my eye.
So you think on paper he's better than he was in person?
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
All right. I mean, I'm probably not going to argue with that.
It's how I feel. And he's a great player, and he won a championship. But it's how I feel about like Frost last year.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's I saw these quarterback lists for Nebraska QBs, and I don't know, that fifth spot is pretty hard.
So you got T-Phrase, I imagine Turner.
Mm-hmm.
You go in
the easy
Taggy,
one. The easiest one,
Crouch.
Yes, not named T-Phrase.
Yeah.
So there's your 4,
and Taggy's the 4th.
Yeah.
So Taggy, Turner, Tommy, Crouch is your 4.
Yeah.
After that, you're like open for business.
I'm way open for business.
And
the only way I would get to winning a national championship is if it was a tie.
Yeah, tiebreaker.
The fifth is hard, man. The fifth is hard.
I was talking to, I can't remember.
Like, could you really say with a straight, convincing face that, like,
no,
Zach Taylor?
No,
you couldn't debate that.
I couldn't.
Zach, could you debate because we're talking about 1.5 years from
Zach Taylor or from Frost?
Yeah,
and from Zach Taylor, really. I mean,
so anybody else,
and
so I think anybody else in the discussion, it's not over the course of their career. So that's what makes it hard.
Yeah, unless you're going to guys that I think are a clear step below in like Taylor Martinez and Tommy Armstrong. Really good players in their own right, but we're talking about kind of different levels here, in my opinion, from those first 4 guys. And maybe that's just what it is. Maybe from the first 4 to the 5th, there's a sizable gap. But if you want to go like course of the career, you do have to go with like an Adrian or a Tommy or a Taylor. And
would we have? So is this if you would take in place of, or are you just looking at their careers? Because sometimes I hate when people do that.
I'm taking,
but sometimes I do it if it fits my argument. So I need you to keep the guardrails on.
Yeah, for this particular, I'm talking about their career at Nebraska.
Okay,
like the course of their career. Like, because there's guys. So there's guys I would take.
Would you do the flip flop thing?
Which in what sense?
Like, would you swap errors? Would you like put Amart on that 97 team?
Ooh, that's an interesting question.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if that's the case, shoot, that may be a no-brainer.
Because Adrian is more dynamic than Frost was.
He was, when healthy, Martinez was incredible. He gets no burn for how dynamic he was when he was healthy because he wasn't healthy very much.
True. And playing around that level of talent as opposed to what he was dealing with when he actually played, I think would dramatically change how we viewed him.
So then I started looking at everybody else's 1.5 year span.
Who'd you come up with?
It's hard. It's really hard.
I could make the argument in terms of productivity that Joe Gans had one of the best 1.5 year spans of anybody.
So I have a ton of respect for Gans. Somebody sent me a photo. It was like from 15 or 16. We played in this Celebrity All-Star game for Marty, the Prez. Down at
Warner.
And yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Do you want to play the rest of the categories with me?
Yeah. Sure.
No, let's not.
Cordero?
Yes.
Storm Chasers?
Yes. And I thought quietly, Gans stole the show.
Really?
Yeah. I remember I told somebody, I think it's my first, second bat. And the field was close and hit one out and was feeling pretty good. Like, oh yeah. Fudge, watching Gans. He and Terrence was really, really good too. But he didn't have to start. He just was kind of my man could swing it. But Gans was incredible. He could pick it. He could swing it. He's got nice hoop game.
Yeah.
He was good at football. And I like him as a person.
Yeah.
I'm a big Gans guy.
Yeah, he kind of gets forgotten because of where his career fell. But I mean, if you're just going 1.5 stretches.
But isn't that what it boils down to?
Unless you want to take one of the recent 4-year guys. Like, unless you want to take like, hey, body of work, whatever. Those guys probably didn't win enough for it to matter. Taylor, you can make the argument, was closest. Martinez, not Zach.
Well, you talk about a 1.5 year sample size.
Right. But then he was,
and by the way, why did BTN play the Wisconsin? Why did they play the 2012 game yesterday?
I don't know. I was watching the Olympics.
What a debacle.
It was not great. He did have that one really cool run, though.
I was like,
It is not optional.
This is where I left and walked back to the post-game radio show from Lucas Oil. Like, it was a good, I don't know, it was an 18, 19-minute walk.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, so you just did a lap around the stadium then, because that's about how long it took.
Yeah, logistically, that place was something else. I just, so those, I don't know. That's what got me into the 1 year versus career.
Yeah.
With that poll. But
Well, yeah.
I was surprised to see Sue get his due.
Yeah.
Because he was incredible. And you could also make the case he was a 1.5 year guy.
Yeah. I mean, probably 2 at most.
Yeah.
It was junior, senior year.
Halfway through his junior year.
Like you're talking about.
He really started to take off. Matter of fact, he tells a tremendous story about having to have a little side session.
Yeah.
With the old ball coach about what you're capable of.
I think I remember there being a story about that.
Yeah.
Where it kind of unlocked some things for him mentally.
So I don't know. I just, when I think of like great college performers that I remember, you know, Steve Slayton, Adrian Peterson, Reggie Bush.
You forgot one you said earlier. Other guy from West Virginia.
Oh, Pat White.
Yeah.
Yeah, he threw the ball to the other team a lot.
Yeah.
Not a lot. I think Pat White was probably a 50 to 25. I bet you he was a 2 to 1. 2 to 1.
All right, I'm looking it up. Make a decision. 2.
Wait. Can I do the math?
Sure.
All right. Buy me some time while I punch in a calculator because, you know, I like to be right.
You do like to be right.
I'm going to guess.
So
what on average?
4-year starter.
I bet he was I'm just going to go. This is in the middle of what I think competent quarterback plays because we like 2.5 to 1.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 2.3 to 1.
2.3 to 1. Let me do the math here on what it actually is.
And then give me the real. Did he have 50 touchdown passes?
He did.
Okay.
You were really close on one of your guesses.
Which one?
On one of your numbers guesses, your totals.
Interceptions?
No, I mean, you were really, like you gave out a couple. You were really close on one of your touchdown interception ratios.
2.3.
No, you said 55 to 20.
Yeah.
It was 56 to 23.
Okay.
So you were really, really close on.
So I remember like Pat White, every time he touched the ball in that offense, I was like, something good is going to happen.
Now, there is another factor with Pat White.
Rushing.
He did have 47 rushing touchdowns.
Jeez.
So like there's a lot there.
So like when I think dynamic.
But he never had more than 7 interceptions in a season.
Really?
Yeah.
So he just threw 7 every year.
5, 7, 4, 7. That's what in order.
5, 7, 4, 7. That's 12 plus 11. Okay.
Yeah.
Like
that gives you 23.
Like I look at Denard Robinson.
Yeah.
Who was incredible for a year. I don't know. I have to go back and look at that list in its entirety because there's some discussions to be had. But by the way, I am all in on Jock Slap this morning. Not the X name, not slapping Jocks. I don't know if he's messing with me, but he was like Edgerrin was better than Bo Jackson. Yeah, I'm here for that discussion.
In the NFL, he certainly was.
People would kick me out of the stage.
Not me. Here for all the Bo Jackson hate. That's DB. I'm Ravi. We'll be back with more Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. 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 You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla.
What's up?
Where we both officially retract any complaints about Baker Mayfield.
I didn't have any.
No, I think we both said
I don't have. Listen, I said when
he was even better than I thought he was.
When I talked to my buddy, I was like, I'm not going to give you a ton of pushback.
Yeah.
People that are frowning their face up over Baker Mayfield don't remember how good Baker Mayfield was.
I didn't realize how gaudy the numbers were.
And it's not even close between him and Cam.
Oh, no.
When you look at the totality of their career.
No, Cam has one good year.
Yeah.
Like literally one good year. That's it. And a great year.
Shane.
But I would.
Hang on. Shane, what would you guess Baker Mayfield? Do you know what I mean when I say touchdowns to interception ratio?
That's what you gave, the 23-26 or whatever?
Yeah.
Earlier.
Like the total number of touchdowns divided by the interceptions. So, like, if somebody has a 6-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, they threw 6 touchdown passes and only 1 interception. A 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio would be 20 touchdowns, 10 interceptions.
1-6 would be a Kenny Stabler.
Yes, the Tim Tebow of
or a Terry Bradshaw.
Overrated. I'm not.
Okay, so what's your question?
Overrated. What do you think Baker Mayfield's touchdowns to interceptions was in college? First of all, how many touchdowns do you think he threw?
He probably threw. God, I don't know. I mean, I'll just go. What was Tebow's?
He threw 88.
But what was the ratio?
It was good. It was like 88-16. It was good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Throwing a lot of swing passes and shovel passes there in Gonzalez.
All
right. 60-30.
Bro. He threw 100.
He got the interceptions, right?
He threw 119 touchdowns.
Okay.
131. He threw 119 at Oklahoma alone.
That's just what I'm talking about.
Okay, so I mean, if you want to include,
and 21 picks, 119 to 21 in
6-1 basically.
In 3 years at Oklahoma.
Yeah,
36-7, 40-8, and 43-6.
That last year 7-1 for those.
People love the long shots.
I mean, cut it the heck out.
You're doing the math there. That's pretty good. Oh, it's not bad.
It's incredible.
Cam Newton did not throw an interception before his
did not throw
a touchdown before his
I didn't like watching Cam either.
Yeah, Cam was a lot. I mean, if you have a problem with Tebow, Cam's a lot of the same.
I didn't like watching Cam.
Cam was a little more dynamic.
Yeah.
But a lot of the same types of stuff.
And the balls traveled longer in the air when he threw it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you got a lot of credit for sweet passes.
And he was a lot more likely to break a run than Tebow was.
I think the whole thing was hard because I just started looking into like 1 year guys.
You want a Burrow's touchdown interception ratio his senior year?
I should know.
It's dumb. Like really dumb.
How many games they play?
They played 15.
And you're talking about 2019?
Yeah.
So he threw for at least 4 a game. So he had 60.
Yep. That's the correct number.
I'm going to go. This is going to sound dumb. 60-6?
It is exactly 60-6. He was 10-1. With 5,600 yards.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And 76% completion.
I watched the Pivot podcast with Ryan Clark, and he was talking to was it Leggett? It was one of the cornerbacks from Clemson.
Yeah.
And he said something slick about the real Tigers.
Mm-hmm.
And RC was like, bro, you know where I was for that LSU Clemson game? I was on the sidelines. I was up firsthand when they were throwing the ball over your head. And a lot of times the coverage was so nice.
Yeah.
And Chase was just going bananas.
Yeah.
Burrow's accuracy was sick.
No, he just puts it in the bucket.
See, I'm going to talk to Jason Cole about this when we talk to him at 8, because I think Burrow's getting – I love JB.
Yeah.
But I think he's getting a pass. If there's pressure –
for his NFL career.
If there's pressure on Hurts this year,
yeah,
there's definitely pressure on Burrow. If there's pressure on L-Jack this year, there's definitely pressure on Burrow.
There definitely should be pressure on Burrow.
You know, I didn't realize how bad Lamar is in the playoffs. Though.
Here, yeah, that's rough.
Because I was getting ready to try to, because I'm kind of an L-Jack defender.
We're a little bit James Harden-y with L-Jack,
bro. I was shocked.
A little.
You know, sometimes you have to go back and
look at it.
Yeah,
because you're like, is my memory deceiving me here?
I'm like second round, first round. Whoa,
yeah, it's a little rough. We got some Harden like tendencies out of our guy Lamar Jackson,
and he's not even putting up the numbers that Harden did.
Yeah. It's a little rough. Let's get to TK on our Hurrdat hotline here. Wants to talk about one Indomitian Sioux. What's up, TK?
Good morning, fellas. I think we need to call somebody about your hold music. It sounds like Shane's strangling it.
Wow. TK, does anybody
no big deal.
So do they call you Thomas, Tommy, Tom? Like what do you go by?
So I guess since I was very young, I have been very adamant that my name is Thomas.
Okay.
Like I think I got called Tom once in preschool, and I was like, no, that is only Dr. Osborne's name.
That is not my name. So you're Thomas. Okay. I'm gonna stick with TK because I'm a nickname guy. But
Yeah,
I just was curious. I just was curious.
Yeah, you're right.
All right. What do we got here?
Well, I really, Ndamukong Suh was my childhood hero.
Mm-hmm.
I still probably about once or twice a week think about the pain of the Big 12 cheating me out of a conference championship in 2009.
Yeah.
I was like in third grade or something, and I'm just laying in the back in our back room, beating my fist. Like I bruised my fists hitting the ground so many times because of Justin Tucker in the Big 12.
I love it.
So I have a very strong affinity for Mr. Ndamukong Suh.
He was truly unblockable. You had to hope he was not in the game.
it took more than three people.
Yep. He was incredible.
It's insane that was the game plan that coaches had to come up with to block Ndamukong Suh.
I got a question for you. Who's if you're going GOAT quarterbacks in Nebraska history, who's your fifth? Or do you insert Taggy? Maybe I don't want to assume you're going to say Taggy because you weren't around. But if you're going to say Taggy,
right?
Who's your fifth?
I will give deference to Taggy. I'm lucky to exist in a generation in which I can watch pretty much every Nebraska football game ever.
Yeah, I watched Cal Nebraska at Cal the other night.
Yeah, I watched that last week.
Unbelievable.
So I'll give Grant his due. But my fifth will always be Taylor Martinez. And Ravi and I have went back and forth about this.
Oh yeah? Do tell.
Yeah.
And Ravi's nodding, so I did not know this about you two. Talk to me.
Oh, go ahead, TK.
There's been nobody since Eric Crouch that has been more explosive and compiled better stats and won more than Taylor Martinez at the University of Nebraska. Nobody.
I think you can make an argument for him for fifth. I don't think he's as good as you remember. Like, I think there were moments where he was that good. I think there were moments where he was that guy. I think the inconsistency is way more than you are remembering.
Well, I agree with that there was inconsistency. I'm just saying that there is such a drop-off between the top 4 and 5 that you live with the inconsistency of 4 years of Taylor Martinez for the inordinate amount of stats that dude put up and the amount of wins that he got.
I mean, if you're putting it in the context of an enormous drop-off between 4 or 5, like I mentioned Taylor as one of the options for 5. Like
Taylor,
I'll hear it out.
Yeah.
I really will. Like, I think you've got either your kind of 1.5 year phenoms, like DB was saying, or you've got either Taylor, Tommy, or Adrian. Like, those are your options on the fifth guy.
And I will just take the dude for 4 years.
Yeah, Taylor's the best of that group of 3 in terms
totality of a comp.
Yeah, totality of wins and stats. Like, I don't disagree with that.
Tomas, appreciate the call, man. We'll still be arguing when you get back. Okay.
It's criminal. It's criminal that Reggie Bush is 7 on this list.
Oh, I know.
Agreed.
I listen. Yeah, you ain't got to tell me.
Full agreement.
It is. He was incredible.
More Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
It's not going to happen again. It can't happen again. And I think that, it's more the players understand it. The coaches obviously understand, but the players understand that, we have to take care of the football. And that was a huge reason that it could have been a total different season last year if we just fumble half as much as we did. So, don't want to jinx us by continuing to just keep talking about it. But, that's one thing that we are going to make sure that never happens again.
Wrapping up hour number one here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. Coming up in the next segment, we'll talk to Jason Cole. He's an author, Pro Football Hall of Fame selector as well. We'll talk some NFL with him. And then at 9, we'll talk to Mike J. Schaefer from Husker 24/7. We were kind of been going down this rabbit hole of, two different rabbit holes. One, of Nebraska's 5th best quarterback of all time, and 2,
just great college players according to the list.
Yes, and then 2 great college players and kind of where they belong on the list. The Nebraska quarterback one has me like thinking though, because Nebraska in particular is a.
I not only started this, and I apologize for getting you stumbled. I just think it's a foregone conclusion, but if you really look at it, I'm not sure.
I think the first 4 are a foregone conclusion.
Yep, I would agree.
I would challenge anyone, because I've actually done
and I'm
this.
open to discussions on the 5th.
Yeah, I would challenge anyone to actually go back, and most of the games are on YouTube, and watch 96 and 97. Because I know Frost has the national title. It wasn't what you think it was. Mm-hmm. Because we assume coming off of the T. Frazier era that he was asked to do the same thing that Frazier was, and he wasn't. Like, just watch those things, watch those games, just a couple of them, especially before the last, like, 2 or 3 games of 97.
But you can't discount the toughness.
Sure.
And I think getting into and out of the right plays, because he did a lot of things at the line of scrimmage.
Sure. And
but what people may not realize is how complete Amon turned out to be as a running back in terms of blocking. He was asked on some of those QB powers. I mean, he was the lead guy
to get out in front.
Yeah.
He's basically playing fullback.
Yeah.
Yeah. This isn't to say that Frost isn't in the discussion for the 5th, but it's certainly not a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I don't think. And, Amazing Daniel brings up Jerry Godowski. That's a favorite of his.
I knew that's who that was because he's a Fremont guy.
There's a challenge to figuring out Nebraska quarterbacks, though, because especially with guys pre-Callahan, the numbers are so weird.
Yeah, and
like they're all over the place.
And I'll maintain this. I've said this before. This is probably 8-9 years ago in my former life. You go back and watch Nebraska play. The degree of difficulty for what those quarterbacks were asked to do is at a high level. The reverse pivot, the spinning out, the coming down the line of scrimmage, the read game. Like, it was hard. Like, you go back and watch some of the passes that Steve Taylor had to throw. Well, I'm like that footwork.
Yes,
is unbelievably difficult
and not normal passing footwork.
The reverse pivot, the coming out, the quick game. I'm like, it's hard.
It's not passing footwork that really any other system requires.
It was really, really hard.
And that's not even to mention just the ball handling in the option.
Because I thought that's who you would say for the 5th
Steve
quarter.
Taylor?
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm being honest, and I'm totally biased and emotionally compromised here, like, I'm just throwing Brooke in there as my 5th guy.
Yeah.
Like, I just am. I think obviously his career stats aren't going to be.
He said emotionally compromised.
I mean, full disclosure, not to steal a line from you or anything, but for what he was asked to do and what he was able to do, like, can you imagine how many teams their seasons would have been over in 94?
No, I know.
Like, I don't know that we fully appreciate, and then having the emotional wherewithal or the mental wherewithal to lead the team, probably feel like you deserve to start the Orange Bowl.
Yeah.
Right. And it's a pretty good argument that you deserve to start the Orange Bowl. Right. I mean, you're the one that let him there, but you got a healthy Tommy. So I get the argument there as well. Like, it's a really,
I didn't think that.
And that's fair. You were in the room. I wasn't. But, like, from an outside perspective, it's really easy to look at it and be like,
I wish people could go back and be, like, super honest.
Okay.
And, like, just take likability out of it.
Sure. That's hard to do, though.
Yeah, because Brooke was much more popular.
Yeah. And not just because of the backup quarterback thing.
No.
Because it's not like Tommy was ever playing poorly to the point where you're like, oh, we want the backup, really?
Yeah. But I'm going to say this. This may be a hot take.
Yeah.
Historically speaking, this is my experience with men. The more I can count on somebody like being a real dude, the less available they are. Like, think about your friendship circle or guys that you think you can count on in crunch time. They aren't always present. You have to go find them sometimes. Right? Conversely, the other guy that's always available and kind of the life of the party and the
can I bring this?
The always everywhere guy, like, a lot of times I don't ride with those dudes.
Can I bring this around?
You know what I mean?
I do.
So
know
that
exactly what you mean.
worked against T phrase.
Yeah.
It worked against T phrase.
Can I bring this back around to Nebraska today now?
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that makes Rule so compelling, is that he seems to always be available, and he seems like he's a real dude.
Yeah.
Like, if you put those two things together, and I'll be honest.
He gives himself a ton of opportunities to not get it right.
Yeah, to step in it. Right?
Yeah, I agree.
That's the incredible thing.
Listen,
That's the incredible thing.
That's a fantastic point.
That's the incredible thing about Rule, is he is constantly, not just in the moment, but with the stuff where he says, hey, we are going to be this and we are going to be that. He gives himself opportunities to step in it all the time.
Think of somebody that I have a particularly high affinity for. Look at Bill, our boss. He doesn't give you a ton.
Mm-hmm.
He's so calculated.
Yeah.
He doesn't give you a ton to pick at.
Yeah.
Because he's very measured.
Yeah, I would call him reserved.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just like, so historically speaking, even guys that I will ride with they're just not out in front.
Yeah.
So if it comes to a popularity thing, I could see it. If it comes to a dependability or an accountability thing, I think that's a different discussion.
And I totally get that. I also personally, and I'm not saying I do a good job of it, I try to be both.
Yeah,
I really do. I try to be, and so like that taints how I view things, right? Because I've been both the, hey, I'm reliable, but I'm not going to be around.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been the, I'm around, but I'm not reliable. And I'm like, okay, can I marry these two things together?
Mm-hmm.
And not to say that I do it well all the time or even often, but I do.
I mean, number one, you're wearing FSU colors.
I mean, it's just a maroon polo. There's no logos except for Nike on here.
That's number one.
This is just like I wear this to play tennis a lot. It's breathable.
You and Nadal. And he took an L.
Yeah, he did. But you know what I mean? Like, so I try and gravitate towards people that I think are trying to do the same thing I'm doing because I find it valuable, you know? And obviously I've got a whole other backstory with Brooke that, like, I'm not even trying to be objective.
Yeah.
I promise. Like, I'm just not.
It's a fascinating discussion after you mature and you take likes out of it.
I do think the position he was put in was really difficult. Right. And I think the way he handled that is something to be admired.
So the best that I've seen.
Yeah. Like that's
and I've been through, his ability to function at a high level, given all the variables and the pressure cooker, was one of the more incredible things I've ever seen. Like, he always have not just because of how he treated me, but his ability to be what I would call almost unflappable. You know, that's one of my favorite qualities, right? Like, how do you function?
Unwavering.
How do you function under duress? Man, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know how it couldn't be, considering what he went through.
Just to be critiqued all day, every day, and rise to the occasion. It's the same reason why I think T-Phrase is the GOAT, because we forget how long he sat during that game. Yeah. To come in crunch,
like 2 full quarters.
To come in crunch time,
right? I'm not misremembering. It's like 2 full quarters
and not skip a beat.
Yeah,
that's hard to do.
And T-Phrase, to be clear, is the GOAT. I'm not arguing that.
No, I know. I think they both can get their flowers.
Yeah, 100%.
They both can get their flowers
and deserve them in different ways.
And people, I say people forget. People don't know. Like, if you're not on that sideline to hear him say, when it's 17-9 and there's about 8 ticks on the clock, and he's like, "We're going to get this done. You're either with me or you're not. Peter, get off the pot. Yeah, let's go get this thing." Everybody was like,
"I guess we're gonna go get.
I guess we're gonna go get this thing."
Yeah.
I'm serious. Like, there's just something to that.
Yeah.
Why do I have such an affinity for Abdul's competitiveness, Muhammad? Well, a couple reasons. Number one, he practically saved my life in college. Number two, ruptured spleen 1 year, comes back to be the GOAT the next. And perhaps the most important thing, welcoming our freshman class with their freshman class to be like, hey, we're starting the new standard. Bump all that other stuff. We're trying to win championships. That was him, Harris, Dumas, Veland, like those guys. Hey, without their mindset and investing in us, we don't do what we do.
The last thing I'll say about Brooke is there is something that appeals to me specifically and it's not in so many words, but in constantly being told, hey, you're not our choice. You're not our guy. You're not good enough.
And you still function at a high level.
And still functioning at a high level. Yeah. And when they're like, oh, but we need you now.
Yeah, he's incredible.
Being able to go get it.
There's something that a backup running back that had to play spot duty that averaged over 100 yards every start.
Yeah.
can relate to.
100%.
I don't know who we're talking about, but that guy can relate.
I don't know. Well, I might know. Coming up next, we got Jason Cole talking a little NFL here on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
I get in trouble every time I make comparisons. Okay, I do get in trouble. And of course, we saw a head-to-head match with Green Bay last year. We've all got that burr in our saddle. I'm anxious for Dak to get a chance to show he's the best with the Cowboy star.
Kicking off hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. We are live from the Pillar Exterior Stage. That's CB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We're joined now by Jason Cole. He's a columnist for the 33rd Team, also an author and a Pro Football Hall of Fame selector. Jason, how are you this morning?
I'm fantastic. What's going on?
I always love talking to you, Jason, because you force your host to elevate their game. There can be no dumb questions with Jason Cole, man. So I appreciate the years that we've gotten a chance to talk, man. Are you enjoying this lead up to listening to guys like Jerry Jones say, "Hey, I know I say a lot of dumb things, but I'm going to say this one too." Okay. Like when you look at Dallas, you've seen and heard so much. Do you just shake your head or are you like, you know what? It just is what it is.
You just know it's always a show, right? It's complete BS.
Right.
Really it is. And the thing about it is, I know Cowboys fans, and they're such true believers, and they take they cherry pick everything, and they think it's our year because they believe whatever sort of shuck and jive routine that Jerry's putting out there to make them believe that they're actually going to win, and then they don't. Like this is year 30 since the last time they won a Super Bowl, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just kind of laugh at them, going, especially with the all-in remark, like we're all in. They haven't signed one of their 3 biggest stars, and not one of them. And it's been like 6 months since he made the all-in comment. All the stuff that he says about, we have to watch our salaries and how it's not that. It's you like the game and the attention that comes with negotiating big contracts.
Mm.
And because it's all part of the soap opera. He's much more concerned with the soap opera of running his team than he is with like winning. Which is kind of the point. Like that's what you're supposed to be doing. Try and win. And they just That's not what this is about. This is about Jerry's ego and him getting attention and him trying to show that he's smarter than everybody else. Meanwhile, there's no results on the field.
Okay, so Jason, that's the perfect, because the pushback would be, well, they've won 36 games in the regular season the last 3 years, and they've drafted well. Like I have to be doing something right. Like what?
They have good players, right? And they have a good coach, not a great coach, but a good coach. And they have all the tools.
Mm.
But this is not about the bottom line. It's about creating excitement so that people buy tickets and that people buy swag and that people believe in the Cowboys. It's not about actually like finishing the job.
Mm.
I always say that, they win 3 games in a row and like they're already starting to talk about Super Bowl.
Mm.
Why? Because they want to give the illusion that that's what they're really trying to do.
Mm.
They're trying to get everybody to believe in it. But meanwhile, you look at the team and it's incredibly flawed in significant ways. Right up to and including the quarterback, who's a good player, but not a great player, and who they're sort of now backing themselves into. They're going to have to pay him like he's the top quarterback in the entire league, the way that this is playing out. Or they're going to have to go into a full-on rebuild, which I don't think Jerry has any appetite for. So it's like, why not pay him now when you could commit to him and you get everything done and have a plan for the next few years and really try and win versus, okay, you're going to have to pay him later. But you just won You just want to have the drama.
Jason, I'm glad you brought up quarterback contracts here because I'm sitting here and I see Jordan Love get paid, and I see the Trevor Lawrence contract, and I see all of these guys who are not top guys, elite guys in the league getting paid elite quarterback money. And I get that's just kind of the cost of doing business. But my question is, like, we've got a pretty aggressive track record of either elite guys or cheap guys, like rookie deal guys winning Super Bowls, and really no one in that middle class that's getting paid like an elite guy that isn't. Like, at some point, our team's going to figure out, like, hey, this is not leading us to success, or is it just, hey, we're deathly afraid of having to play the quarterback roulette game again. We're going to pay whoever we've got that's above average.
Well, let's play it out. You're the Miami Dolphins, and you paid Tua $54 million a year, whatever the number was, right?
Yeah.
Before you had Tua, did you like the 20 years that you went without having a quarterback?
No.
Okay. I mean, when I say 20 years, I mean 20 years without.
Yeah, and Greer was in a bind. But how do you? So is it different? And we'll stay with Tua. Is it different because the skill guys are already in place with their deals? It's kind of the anti what Dallas did, right? I mean, they locked up Waddle a year early.
Yeah.
So, like, does that have something to do with how you look at that vantage point, or are we just flatlining it? Like, well, it didn't work the other way. Let's try it this way.
Pretty much, it's that. I mean, you don't really get complicated in the thinking with a quarterback. Once you get one who's competent, you just have to keep him. And I get the structure of salaries and sort of the superstructure of the salary cap and why guys get paid so much money. And it primarily has to do with the bottom end of your roster makes very little money. I mean, if you take the bottom 30 guys on any 53-man roster, right? And that expands as the year goes on as guys get hurt. So, basically about the bottom 40 guys on your roster, they make very little money. They make, somewhere between $50 and $60 million total on a cap that is $220 million right now. So there is this incredible amount of money to pay for, 40% of your roster, maybe even less, anywhere from, 10 to 20 guys that you really have to pay. And even within that, 15 of those 20 guys that you have to pay are really only making mid-range money, like somewhere between $4 and $6 million. So that leaves the high end of your cap, like just an inordinate amount of money. And that's why quarterbacks have to get paid the way that they get paid, because the teams have to spend the money and the position is so scarce. So all the economic factors that possibly can point to overpaying one position make it so that you overpay the one position. And that's why we're in this game where people are sitting there going, how can these quarterbacks make this kind of money? Well, it's a lot simpler than you really think if you understand how the salary cap works. And most people don't, because the salary cap is really boring to talk about.
Jason, so let me ask you this, though, in that context, right? And Tua is a really good example of this. And this kind of goes in what we were saying about Jerry Jones. Like, I know at the end of the day, the goal for everyone theoretically is to win the Super Bowl, but it seems like if you're, a team that's paying
there's only 8 or 10 of those teams probably.
Maybe, right? At the most, like, is there a certain part of paying the quarterback where it's just like, hey, we just don't want to suffer anymore? Like, the goal isn't necessarily, we think Tua can win us a Super Bowl, so much as we think Tua can make our fans not hate our franchise for the next 20 years.
At one point, you played Cleo Lemon at quarterback when you were.
That's a great pull.
Okay. At one point, you thought Chad Henne was the answer. At one point, you were like geeked up that you were competitive with Chad Pennington.
Yeah.
And you went 20 years like that. 20 years. It was like a prison sentence for a high crime.
Okay.
Really think about it. Like the Miami Dolphins fan base was in prison for 20 years, forced to watch the likes of Cleo Lemon and Chad Henne and I don't like to kind of toss on Chad Pennington, but like they've got really, really geeked up for a couple of years with Chad Pennington. I was like, guys, this is not good enough to win in the playoffs. Yeah. It's good enough to get you the playoffs. You were one play away from going 0-16 because your quarterback situation was so bad. You went through coaches like they were plastic liners at a dry cleaner because you didn't have a quarterback. I mean, that's what not having a quarterback does for you. And yes, that makes it, that kind of purgatory is what causes you to say, better pay $55 million for Tua.
All right, Jason, I'm going to go rapid fire here with quarterbacks because I don't want to dominate the time, and my co-host will get mad at me because we want to talk about things other than quarterbacks. So I'm going to ask you 3 or 4 quarterback questions, rapid fire. Relative to expectations, a quarterback that you're expecting to have the best year, relative to expectations coming off an injury. Rodgers, Burrow, or a guy I kind of like, Kyler Murray. Rodgers, Burrow, or Kyler Murray?
I think Burrow's going to have he's the best of the lot. And he was the worst last year of this group. Kyler actually played decently last year, but I don't believe in Kyler Murray, and I don't believe in the offense that they play. So I'm out on that. Rodgers is going to be good because Rodgers is good. I think Burrow's the one who's going to come back with a vengeance. More
pressure, Love or Dak?
Oh, Dak. There's just a stupidity about being the Dallas quarterback. It's ridiculous.
More pressure relative to them being their own benchmark of success. Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson?
Rephrase. Say that one more time, the question.
It's both more pressure based on their recent success. Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson?
It's Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is a unique player, is a very good player who can. They could win a Super Bowl with him at quarterback, but he doesn't ultimately have a lot of control over that. It's controlled by other factors like do they catch teams at the right place at the right time? Are there injuries out there, et cetera, and is the team playing at peak performance? So Lamar Jackson's a really great player who has less control over his fate.
All right, long term, if you had to pick today, you taking Justin Herbert or Trevor Lawrence?
Oh, Justin Herbert. Trevor Lawrence is a really talented player who's kind of a goofball.
Okay.
I mean, he's just kind of goofy. He's
just a little too all shucksy for you.
No, he's a little bit too much of a brain dead heaver.
Wow.
Like he's just like there are passes he throws, and you just go, like, why, dude? Why? Like, what'd you do? You're not supposed to throw that. You just know. I mean, everybody in the place knows, including like the 8-year-old kid who's sitting in the pool at Jacksonville. Like in that little pool structure, he knows you're not supposed to throw that. And he's only 8 years old. Okay, like you're not supposed to throw that pass.
Oh.
And he just does every once in a while. So that's why I say he's really talented. He's really good. I think he's a nice kid. I think he means well. But he's a brain dead heaver. That's what he is.
We're talking with Jason Cole. He's a columnist for the 33rd team. Jason, I want to ask about the 49ers. Obviously, they've had some situations with Brandon Ayuk there coming off of the Super Bowl loss as well. Do you think they're able to kind of recreate what they found last year, or as more guys are wanting to get paid or get moved on, like, do you think their window's maybe closing a little sooner than we think?
Well, it's closing because, mostly because the guys around Purdy are getting older, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, running backs don't last forever. So how long is McCaffrey going to do what he does? Maybe he gets 3 or 4 more years out of this, but we're closer to the end than the beginning. Deebo Samuel, the way that he plays, he's probably got 2 years left, and their plan is to get rid of him after 1 if they have to pay Ayuk. George Kittle, 2 surgeries this last offseason. His body is always kind of a wreck. Like the skill positions are having a rough time. And their best player, literally their best player, is Trent Williams,
mm-hmm.
whose body is also falling apart. I think the defense will keep them together and keep them competitive. And I think if you can keep weapons around Purdy, you're going to be fine. But they have to start replacing those weapons because they're going to age out. So yeah, they got to take a really close look at this window, which is why Ayuk is putting so much pressure on them to pay him and pay him what he expects, because he knows that they want to, they want to win. They want to win that Super Bowl. They got close. They were 2 plays away from winning the Super Bowl last year.
Mm-hmm.
That the botched punt and then the botched block by Burford that allowed Chris Jones to interfere with what would have been a sure touchdown pass. Like you flip those 2 plays, they probably win the Super Bowl against Kansas City last year.
Of kind of the who's the best team in the NFC South?
None of the above. I don't know.
I really, really want to like the Falcons. I do.
They have the best quarterback situation, but they also have the worst quarterback situation because, Kirk Cousins is your modern day Alex Smith. He's a league average quarterback, which is good. Like finding guys who can perform at league average level is not easy to do. And Kirk Cousins is going to do a good job, distributing the ball. But as soon as they lose 2 games in a row, everybody's going to be screaming for Michael Penix. It's just the way it is. And so you created this controversy for no reason. And I like Michael Penix too. I think I think he's a good player. I don't necessarily like him at number 8, but I think he's a really good player. So I generally like the pick. I don't like the situation where you put them together. And I think you make Kirk Cousins think about too many things where he's not the kind of guy you want to have thinking too much. You just want him to go play and not worry about his job and not worry about whether he throws an interception. Just go out and play and make the plays that you can and make them as competitive as you can, because yes, they could win that division pretty easily. They've got weapons around Kirk Cousins. They'll probably get the most they can out of Pitts, Bijan Robinson, Drake London. I mean, I like that group. Okay. And I think there's more to it. At the same time, I think there is sort of this limited upside. It's like, okay, 10 or 11 wins. Sure, I can see that. Can I see much more than that with, a ride to the Super Bowl? No, I can't. But, like Carolina's awful.
God, they're terrible. Wow.
Yeah, and Bryce Young, God bless him. He can throw it, but he's a midget. I mean, he just really is. I mean, and Baker Mayfield, okay, you kind of pulled the act one time on us. I'm not trusting that. In New Orleans, Derek Carr, really. I mean, and especially with Derek Carr with Dennis Allen gives you so much upward limitation.
Yeah.
There's just no imagination to what can happen there. Just none. So they've had such a brain drain over the years from Drew Brees and Sean Payton about what was possible to now you're at Dennis Allen and Derek Carr. And it's you might as well bring out the old the bags over the heads. I mean, it's so embarrassing from what they were.
Jason, what's the upside on a Jim Harbaugh coach team that has, I think, without a question, the best quarterback he's ever had in the NFL?
Oh, I had a great conversation with Andrew Luck a few months back. We were sitting having breakfast, and he, we were talking about Stanford sports because we're both Stanford grads, and we're trying to, kind of think of what does the future look like for us, and want to talk about bleak. I mean, that's ugly, right?
Yeah.
But that's for a different time. But we're talking about when Stanford is good in any sport, it's generally because you have coaches who really love toughness. Jim Harbaugh was the author of the greatest era of Stanford football.
Mm-hmm.
Most consistent, longest running era of achievement. And at the center of everything he does is toughness, mental toughness, physical toughness. Just this is a game for tough people. You have to play that way. He's going to bring a style of football to the Chargers that they haven't had since Marty Schottenheimer was there, and they were within one play of winning a Super Bowl, essentially. When Marlon McCree fumbled that ball after the interception on Tom Brady, like they should have just walked in through the Super Bowl. They would have walked past the Colts. They would have beat the Bears in the Super Bowl. It would have been just fantastic. But they blew it, and they've been paying for it ever since. And they finally got a guy who is unique in his ability to rally a team, a group of people together, and get them to play tough-minded football. I think he's going to be great.
Of the trendy up and comers, what team and what roster do you like better, the Texans or the Lions?
Lions are a little bit deeper, a little more complete. The quarterback is better. The quarterback is better in Houston. But the players around the quarterback in Detroit are so good that I can see them win a Super Bowl this year. I can't see Houston winning a Super Bowl. I can't paint that scenario in my mind because there's too much to get through the AFC. In the NFC, you can get through a little bit easier, and then all you got to do is really win one game. And the Lions are capable of doing that. And frankly, I kind of hope that because I do think that Dan Campbell will probably swim naked across Lake Michigan. Really.
That's Jason Cole.
Oh, you never disappoint.
He's a columnist
JC,
for the
never.
33rd Team. He's an author and a Pro Football Hall of Fame selector. Jason, thanks so much for your time. We will talk again soon.
Anytime, guys.
Hey, thanks, Jason.
Coming up next,
Remember when D'Amico Ryans got ridiculed for taking that job?
Man, I hated it because I loved him in San Francisco, and I didn't think that front office was good enough to help him out. But so far, so good. It helps when you got C.J. Stroud. We've got more Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next.
We will be back. 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 You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
That was Justin Herbert. Trevor Lawrence is a really talented player who's kind of a goofball.
Okay.
I mean, he's just kind of goofy. He's
just a little too all shucksy for you.
No, he's a little bit too much of a brain dead heaver.
Wow.
Like he's just like there are passes he throws and you just go, like, why, dude?
If you don't want to be brain dead, make sure you get to hurrdatsports.com to get the Hail Varsity Yearbook for 2024. You can secure your order today between now and August 11th when pre-orders will close. Hurrdatsports.com is the place to get it. You'll get exclusive interviews, position breakdowns, one-of-a-kind photos, and so much more. Order that on hurrdatsports.com. I want to return to this quarterback situation here a little bit here because, first of all, every time Trevor Lawrence's name gets brought up, obviously I get a little slack here. I just want you to hear the qualifier that he put in front of brain dead heaver, right? Really, really talented, right? That's all I'm saying. That's my only point with Trevor Lawrence. We'll leave that.
He's a little bit too much of a brain dead heaver.
Yeah, you skipped the important part there, Shane. I'm not saying he's a good NFL quarterback. I'm saying he's really, really talented. That's all I've ever said. Anyway, moving on from Trevor Lawrence.
No, he's a little bit too much of a brain dead heaver.
Shane, I will cut you this morning.
So I got your point right?
About what I was asking him, right?
So let me
Go ahead.
in lay terms,
Mhm.
I think you were saying, correct me if
Yep.
I'm wrong. Why do these teams, or can you see these teams justifying paying the cost of doing business for a quarterback just so they won't be terrible, even though they cannot win a Super Bowl?
Yeah. So the way I was thinking, that's basically right. The way I was thinking in my mind is certain teams deep down, their goal isn't to win the Super Bowl. Like big picture, yes, whatever.
Okay.
Right. Their goal is to either sell tickets, it's to either be better than they were the last 20 years, like he was talking about with the Dolphins. Their goal is to, hey, let's make the playoffs for the first time in a while. Let's be competitive. Like a lot of teams have goals that aren't winning the Super Bowl. And if you can say that part out loud, you can justify paying some of these guys.
Okay. I want to give you the opportunity to do this exercise.
Absolutely.
Okay. I want you to wipe all bias.
I'll do my best.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
This is emotion
Mhm.
without being emotional.
Okay. And these are just my gut reactions.
I'm going to give you the top 15.
Okay.
Top 15 paid quarterbacks.
Mhm.
You simply just say yay or nay on if you could see them winning a Super Bowl.
Okay.
Ready? Number 1, Joe Burrow.
Yes.
Number 2, Jordan Love.
No.
Number 3, Trevor Lawrence.
No.
Hawk Tua.
No.
Jared Goff.
Haley Welch has a better chance of winning a Super Bowl than Tua Tagovailoa.
See, okay. I already disagree.
Okay.
But that's fine.
Who's after Tua?
Jared Goff.
Yes.
Justin Herbert.
I really don't know. I genuinely don't know. But my gut says no, but I get everything else says yes. So
Okay.
I really don't know.
Harbaugh went to the Super Bowl with a worse quarterback.
I understand that.
Okay.
Justin Herbert's never won anything in his life.
Okay. And he's got to pass the Chiefs.
Yeah. Not just in the conference, but his division as well.
Lamar Jackson.
I'm going to say yes.
Don't let me convince you.
No,
because anything other than a no is wrong.
I'm good.
I mean, anything other than a yes is wrong.
I'm going to say yes, but I am horrified by the playoffs so far.
Okay. Jalen Hurts.
That's a no for me.
They won a Super Bowl already.
He's a no for me.
Robbie, they won a Super Bowl.
Moving forward, he is a no.
Gee, many Christmas.
Past performance is not an indicator.
And he wasn't even that bad last year.
Yeah, I think that had way less to. Again though, they won a Super Bowl.
Okay,
before they had to pay him.
I don't want to detract.
They won a Super Bowl before they had to pay him. That's the point of this.
Okay,
like the history of Super Bowls. This is where this get brought up in my mind. The history of Super Bowls, especially recently,
this dude is tough.
Is you either are paying an elite guy or you are winning with a guy on the cheap.
I get it.
He was an on the cheap guy when they won the Super Bowl. He's no longer an on the cheap guy.
I totally understand. I just think if you ask me, because
I would say the same thing about Russell Wilson even before he fell off the map.
Shane, at first blush, you think the Eagles could win the Super Bowl?
No, he's a little bit too much of a brain dead.
Do you think the Eagles could win the Super Bowl? They absolutely.
I would have made the same.
They absolutely.
I would have made the same argument just to show consistency here. Prior to Russell Wilson falling off the cliff, when he was still good in Seattle, once they had to pay him, it was done.
Okay.
I could see Justin winning the Super Bowl.
Although he had a good year after he got paid.
No, I'm not saying he didn't have good years. I'm saying they were done as far as, in my mind, having an opportunity because they had to get rid of so many other guys because they had to pay him.
What'd you say?
That's Jalen Hurts in my mind.
I could see Justin winning the Super Bowl. Maybe not with the Chargers, but I think he'll win one.
See, I could too.
Now, he could win one with the Chargers because here's the key to that is, yes, you got to get by the Chiefs.
Well, he ain't going anywhere unless he's old. He's going to be with the Chargers a while.
But you get 2 free wins from the Raiders every year.
You can get by the Chiefs, but it's like every 3 or 4 years. I mean, there's going to be that window when they have like that one down year, and then they'll be back again once they kind of rebuild. So
Kyler Murray, no?
Absolutely not.
Deshaun Watson, no?
Absolutely not.
Kirk Cousins, no?
Absolutely not.
Mahomes?
Yes.
Josh Allen?
Yes.
Dak Prescott?
No.
So these guys are tied at 15. Daniel Jones?
No.
Matt Stafford?
Yes.
Okay. So we're half.
Mm-hmm.
We're 8 out of the 17 that get a yes.
Yeah. That's my point, though. Is
I understand.
The 8 were
9.
Elite.
9.5.
Yes.
8.5, 9.
Because I wasn't sure about Herbert.
Okay. So that's half. Now let me give you the back end.
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers comes in at 17. Could you see the Jets winning a Super Bowl?
I can see Aaron Rodgers winning a Super Bowl, but so yes.
I'm going to give you the next best, in my opinion,
Okay.
if you don't think Geno Smith can replicate last year.
Yeah, that's a no.
Okay.
Even if you can replicate the stats, he's not winning a Super Bowl.
So the next best is Baker Mayfield.
No, he's not winning a Super Bowl.
That's it. That's 19.
I mean, but then you've got the rookie deal guys.
Yeah.
Those are the guys that are important. The rookie deal guys are the ones that are
Jaden
important.
Daniels, Bryce Young.
I mean, C.J. Stroud. I would pick C.J. Stroud over half the guys that are getting paid.
Quietly, and I know you're going to say, "Oh, you cheer for them because they're in the NFC." I don't cheer for them. I think they're interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Who you know who has a starting quarterback that only makes $10 million
In the NFC?
Yep. I just gave you the dead ringer clue. I always
that you sort of like him.
I always bring him up.
I'm blanking.
We talked to him at 9 o'clock.
Oh, the Vikings.
Sam Darnold only makes $10 million.
Sam Darnold's not a guy I would put on that list, but they also didn't pay Sam Darnold.
So
that's my point.
So here's my thing in saying that.
On the cheap.
They got a quote-unquote bridge guy,
mm-hmm.
and they have McCarthy that they drafted. Is Minnesota a team you would buy stock in based on what you know to be the formula that works?
Yes, over a lot of those teams at the top of that list, yes, 100%.
So that's the way that you do it.
Yes.
You try to get a bridge guy
100%.
And draft a guy.
Absolutely.
God, that's tough.
It is tough. But you know what's hard? Winning a Super Bowl. That's why, that's why I'm saying if we can,
I knew what you were asking.
If we can just admit that some of these teams that are paying quarterbacks are just doing it, A, so their fans don't revolt.
Yeah, I knew what you were asking.
B, because they're okay just making the playoffs, then I'm fine with that. I'm cool with that.
But you do realize though the owners they're going to make money, so don't pick at that.
Right.
You want people to come to your stadium,
which is fine.
So you rather have Tua than Chloe.
Cleo.
Not
Chloe. I don't know any Chloes that started in the NFL.
I know a Chloe Lemon. She was a hooper at Millard South. I was a big fan because she was super cool.
Chloe, Cleo, same idea. No, I get that.
Shout out Chloe Lemon.
And that's fine. But and I know
Maya's going to be like, Dad, you realize that was a Millard South thing. I played at Millard North.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's why I like Maya.
It's good Millard South teams.
Roll Stanks.
Dude, she's amazing.
You know what I mean? That's what I'm okay with that if you're willing to be like, yeah, this is the reason. That's the reason it makes sense to pay Tua in Miami, but you have to also be like, yeah, we're probably not winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but you got to understand though, Greer has to be able to go to his boss and say, hey, look at who Greer passed up on to take Tua. That could forever come back to haunt him in that quarterback class.
I totally understand that. But those are all not winning Super Bowl reasons to sign a quarterback. That's my only point.
I don't understand
that was my
why
only
you
point.
think Tua can't win a Super Bowl.
I don't think he's that guy.
That's a good roster.
He's a good quarterback.
How much of this has to? I feel like you're being extremely difficult. How much of this has to do with the fact that Kansas City's there?
No, it's not even that. Because I think Burrow and I gave you Allen. Those are.
So you love Burrow because he's gotten there.
I've always loved Burrow.
But this is this is the worst roster he's had since he's been in the league.
I'm not talking about this year. I'm talking about in general paying a guy. These are long-term contracts. I'm not talking about 2024. I'm talking about, hey, let's admit that we're paying guys for non-Super Bowl winning reasons.
Yeah.
After that, I'm cool.
I got the question.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Wrapping up hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. And if you're in your car driving to work, driving to, I don't know, anywhere else.
Driving me crazy.
Going to the gym maybe early on in the morning here, like our guy TK does every morning, or our guy Will. Got some fitness enthusiasts in the stream, which we appreciate. Make sure you're all buckled up. Wearing your seatbelt saves lives and prevents injuries, but only when worn properly. Make it click. A message from the NDOT Highway Safety Office. All right, so let's return to this quarterback discussion here.
We'll get to Nebraska football and
the
Coach
whole last
Satterfield.
hour. The whole last hour, I promise.
We'll go with Schaefer. All right,
we're going to start with Schaefer. It'll be the whole last hour. I mean, we did talk about him for like the first 40 minutes with quarterbacks too, but let's get back to the NFL.
I love the discussion. Let's go back to 2020, the quarterback class.
Okay, I've got it up right here.
Give me the first 8 quarterbacks.
Joe Burrow.
Okay.
Tua.
Yep.
Justin.
Yep.
Herbert.
Yep.
Oh, come on now.
Get to 53. Pick 53.
26 is Jordan Love.
Okay.
53 is Jalen Hurts.
Yep.
122 is Jacob Eason.
Not playing.
125 is James Morgan.
Okay, we're good.
Yeah. Whether Jake Fromm is the only other one that's played, I think, and he was 167.
Okay. So, if you're Chris Greer,
mm-hmm.
Okay, Dolphins general manager.
Yep.
You got to go to your boss and you have to say, hey, listen, we paid Waddle.
Mm-hmm.
We made a move for Tyreek Hill, which I don't know. Maybe they regret. Maybe they don't. No, I know. But you're going to be on the hook.
Yeah, you're paying a pretty penny.
Okay. I want you to re-rank those quarterbacks.
I mean, I'm still taking Burrow 1.
Okay, Burrow's 1.
Herbert's probably 2.
Okay.
I think Tua and Jalen are about a coin flip for me at 3.
So the Dolphins can't get to a Super Bowl. Hurts won a Super Bowl, and they're a coin flip?
Okay. Context matters here, right? If Tua was still on a rookie deal, like Jalen Hurts won his on a rookie deal, on a second-round rookie deal. I'm talking about the economics of the position as much as I am the talent.
Just re-rank the quarterbacks knowing what you know. I'll get to the money in a second.
If we're just talking about talent, I take Jalen over Tua.
Okay. Who's 4?
I think I take Tua over
long term
over Jordan Love. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have enough sample size of Jordan Love to know that it wasn't a flash in the pan. I just don't.
So you put Tua 4th. He was picked 2nd out of the 5.
Mm-hmm.
If you're Greer and you want people to think you're good at your job,
sure,
you have to give yourself every opportunity to make that thing work.
Sure.
Because the alternative is I
go back to the well.
Right.
Yeah.
And you try to start over for another 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
That's why I think they had to pay Tua. Now, they didn't give away the farm, right? Especially after the 3rd year. You didn't, because you have to get inside the contract. But you can't tell Miami, and I get it. I'm reading TK's deal. He's like, hey, they have to get the 1 seed. Tua can't play in the cold. I get what he's saying.
There's a lot. Yeah,
there's a lot.
Yeah.
But if you're just talking about the fit for that team, what's the alternative to not paying him the cost of doing business?
The alternative is to try and win a Super Bowl, which is harder, and it's a harder sell.
But Miami is in a position to try to win a Super Bowl. You have a Super Bowl caliber coach.
I like McDaniel
you've got
a lot.
You got a fantastic staff.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to shoot your shot.
And that's fine, but you just gave, before we even got to Super Bowl, the reason you gave, which I agree with, by the way, is Greer. That's as much a self-preservation move as it is anything. I think it is.
It's not.
Because if you're there,
I know I said, hey, he has to justify that he's good at his job, but
which is true. Like, that's a factor in this contract.
Yeah, but Tua's not, like, I guess I don't get the pushback.
So for me, this conversation's not about Tua. We got stuck on Tua because that's where Jason took it, and that's fine.
No. But that was kind of your fault because
I could have restructured.
Even when you had the chance to reset the question, you used Tua as the example again because you said staying on the Tua thing.
We got.
But I knew your heart though.
We got stuck on it, and that's fine, and that's on me as much as it is anybody.
No, but.
No, it is. I could have given a different example to try and reshape it the way I wanted it to.
Well, I don't know why I knew what you were talking about and he didn't.
Yeah, maybe he didn't, or maybe he just didn't want to answer
or
it.
Maybe
the way
it's because I know how you talk.
Yeah, probably. You're more familiar with kind of how my brain works when I'm getting to these things.
Because your basic point is, why not try something different other than breaking the bank for somebody that isn't going to get you a championship?
My basic point is there are only 2 types of guys at quarterback that win Super Bowls. Guys on the cheap or the elite of the elite, no matter what you're paying them. I don't think Tua falls into either of those categories. Jalen Hurts did because he was on the cheap when they won the Super Bowl. That's why I struggle with him as a Super Bowl winning quarterback now when you are no longer getting him at a discount.
So should we or should we not use historical context considering how much the cap has changed?
I mean, that's a fair question. It is.
Because there have been some average quarterbacks to win Super Bowls.
Most of them were not getting paid.
Eli Manning was getting paid.
Yes, he was.
I mean, that's
Flacco wasn't yet. He got paid after. He got paid after the Super Bowl. But Eli Manning is the outlier in this conversation in the last 20 years.
Didn't the Rams have a quarterback that could be an outlier for it?
Stafford was making $40 million, I think.
I consider Stafford a really, really good quarterback.
Stafford's elite. You're one of the few smart guys.
Yeah, like I think Stafford's a great quarterback. I put him in the category of elite guys that got paid. Like, I don't have an issue with that at all.
Okay, so I got a question though.
Yeah.
What if Goff wins a Super Bowl? Is Goff a Tua equivalent that plays indoors?
Goff is really good.
The difference is, I told you this, so this is kind of a cheat deal because I went down this quarterback rabbit hole. Goff doesn't turn the ball over.
Goff is really good.
He does not turn.
I don't
the
know
ball
what it
over.
is. When I watch Goff, I trust him more
How
than
about
when I watch
McVay
Tua.
thinking that he got
Maybe
Goff
it's
to his ceiling, though?
Yeah, it's a miss.
No, he won a no, it's not. He won a Super Bowl.
No, he
No.
made a Super Bowl. They
No,
didn't
listen.
win, they didn't win with Goff.
He got to Goff got there,
Yeah.
couldn't win it, shipped him because he felt like he got to his ceiling, went and got Stafford and won a Super Bowl.
Stafford's better than Goff, right? So he went and upgraded the position.
But
I'm not saying it was a miss in terms of the move, but I don't think McVay got him to a ceiling. I thought he got better after he left.
Maybe.
I think so. I think the last 2 years of Goff were better than the year he made the Super Bowl. The numbers I think are going to be similar if I had to look back on it.
He gets to do a little more.
Yes.
And
that's when I'm watching Goff.
But they do arguably have the two best players in the NFL that people don't talk about. And one is because
St. Brown
is one.
Yeah. Who's
the other? He's incredible.
Still on offense?
Yes.
Laporta?
No, he's great too.
When
I say incredible, I mean incredible. He just proves my point.
Yeah.
Jahmyr Gibbs.
I was gonna say Gibbs. I was like, it's a little early, but no, he's
not.
He's good. He's really, really good.
Jahmyr Gibbs.
Really, really good. Because that's one where I was like, really, we're taking him in the first round, and that was a good call.
Dude,
got him. Nailed it.
He's incredible.
My thing on McVay,
his ability to run the ball inside is spectacular for his size.
My
and
thing
you
on
hold your breath every time he touches it.
My thing on McVay was I think he missed that Goff was at his ceiling. It was not a miss to upgrade to Stafford because I think the world.
I got you. I won't hold you to that.
I don't know what it is with Goff and Tua. When I watch Goff, I trust him infinitely more than I trust Tua. It might, full disclosure, putting my biases out there, it might be the way they look.
Because you think Tua is fragile.
Yes, Tua looks a little fragile. His movement doesn't look quite as, I don't want to say natural, but there's something about his movement that I just don't trust quite as much. And I look at Goff and I go, I feel okay about that guy.
Now Shane's taking some umbrage, and I get it.
Okay.
Maybe I have to go back. I'm not sure if he's talking to me or if he's talking to you. I think he's talking to me because did I say Eli an average?
Yes.
Okay.
I agree, though.
He says you're calling Eli Manning average after he beat Brady twice in the Super Bowl with average skill positions. Yes. Better than average, but he's still not even, in my opinion, Phillip Rivers.
No, Phillip Rivers is a better overall quarterback than Eli Manning.
And
listen, Amazing Daniel will love this.
Shane, I get it. I get what you're saying because he did win it twice, but it's still up for discussion whether he's a Hall of Famer, even though I say he's a Hall of Famer. I'll put Eli in the Hall of Fame. I want you to go back and look at that supporting cast. For an average skill position catch, the guy that was pretty average saved his ass.
Mm-hmm.
Saved his ass, Tyree, on a ball that he shouldn't even have thrown.
On a play that probably should have been whistled dead.
So, yes, the skill position is average collectively, but within the context of that game,
also
absolutely not. And
let's not pretend
he played with one of the best defensive lines.
Yes. That's all I was going to say.
In the modern era.
Let's not pretend like Eli Manning.
They didn't go outscore the Patriots.
Let's not.
They kept it under control. I'm not here for the Eli Manning slander because that's not my heart. So I do want to.
I'll call him above average, but he's not special.
No.
And he's a turnover machine for his career.
And to make the money that he did?
Yes. The thing.
If we're arguing about Tua?
Yeah, no. I'd take Tua over Eli. No questions asked.
I mean, no disrespect.
Can you be average in a Hall of Famer?
Stabler.
That's what I was going to say. That's the reason why I brought it up.
Namath.
TK was wondering that.
There's a lot of average Hall of Famers.
But who asked that question?
You can be an average Hall of Famer. There's a lot of them.
TK, get out of here.
Here's the thing about Eli.
You know how many great players aren't in the Hall of Fame?
And
we're actually debating whether Levante David is a Hall of Famer.
No-brainer.
And Brian Urlacher is in.
No brainer.
Come on,
let's
man.
not pretend
what
like
are we talking about?
Only reason the Giants won either of those Super Bowls is they could get pressure with 4 on Brady consistently, no matter what. That's it.
Don't get me started.
You want to go pay that D line? Go for it. Don't talk to me about paying Eli.
Come
Manning.
on, Thomas.
Coming up next, we're going to talk to Mike J. Schaefer here on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Originally, that's what I came here to do, and so it was good to get Glenn back. Me and Glenn and Coach were together at Temple, and there was a lot of familiarity. Same thought, how to play football and coach football, so that was good. But I love coaching the tight ends. That's probably more my mindset. I'm a little bit, I'm an emotional guy, and it's probably not good for quarterbacks all the time. So it's good to get in there with the room that I have. Really proud of the room. I thought that they took a huge step this spring, especially from a productivity standpoint, like being able to get the ball in their hands, especially Thomas and Nate and Luke, just getting the ball in hands in space and letting those big athletic bodies do what they do.
Kicking off hour number 3 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR in Lincoln. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage. Do we have Schaefer yet, Shano?
Not yet.
We are efforting Mike J. Schaefer as we want to hop into some of our Husker talk here. I will say that cut that Shane played is one of my favorite things, not just Satterfield has said, but that anybody ever can say. Hey,
can I guess?
Yeah, you know what it is.
I'm more playing to my strengths. I may not have been good at that other thing. I like this.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, hey, that wasn't really for me. My strengths are over here. This is what I'm better at. You know what Glenn's really good at? Doing that thing.
Hey, how about when Rule said it?
Yeah.
This was a while
couple
ago.
Months ago, I think.
And
now.
He goes, man, sat revs high. Sometimes that's not always good for the quarterback room.
I mean, that might have been back when Glenn was hired. That was a while ago.
I mean, that was like,
but it's also
and remember what we said when he said it?
That they've definitely had that conversation. Yeah.
Yep.
That's Marcus.
I said you could say those kinds of things out loud
if Satterfield already knows.
If that's not the first time he's heard it.
100. And frankly, he might. I always assumed that Rule
Sat was the one that brought it to him.
Yeah, I always assumed that Rule had said that to Sat. It turns out maybe Sat's the one that was like, "Hey, yeah, I maybe rev a little high for this."
Mike's here, by the way.
Like, why don't we go back to where I'm good at, and you bring in somebody that does this professionally as a quarterback coach?
I love Satterfield's personality, by the way. Remember, I'm one of the staunch supporters,
yeah.
Right? You don't get that life without him in it. We were given a tour. Nobody was in the office. Mm-hmm. It was empty. Satterfield, by far and away, has the best office.
Really?
His decorations. He either was celebrating his birthday or something. He had fiesta balloons, inflatable tacos. Like, it was like a party theme. And I told you, on that OV, he was by far and away the funniest coach there.
You said he was like real dry.
He was incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, he jumped to the top of the list of guys that I would go hang out and have a ginger ale with.
Let's bring in Mike J. Schaefer, who's got, I think, a couple potential Super Bowl winning quarterbacks on his roster. Sam Darnold and
Mike J.
J.J. McCarthy.
What's
up, Mike J. Schaefer?
I don't know how I feel about the lead-in there. So let's just move on from that.
No, but so Shake, we got to talk Nebraska. We've been NFL heavy. The first hour it was all Nebraska, then we went all NFL. Now I got to take advantage of your expertise, so we're going to stay in both your wheelhouses. That isn't the Guardians and the Blackstone. Because I did move I did move my Blackstone yesterday. I'm ready to go. Okay, but Schaefer, you have a quarterback that they're only paying $10 million to. You have another quarterback that's on a rookie deal. You have a really good staff. Like, I think they're exceptional. You allow yourself, and for whatever the reason on my algorithm on my TikTok, I get training camp clips.
You seeing Darnold throwing dots out there?
Dude, he threw a couple to add it. Like
the one on the sideline where he's like bending.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I saw a couple of splits from McCarthy. Like, Schaefer, I'm not near as big a fan as you, but gosh, I like the Vikings upside, man. How can you not be excited?
I mean, they have a roster offensively that's as complete as any team really in the NFL, except at quarterback. I mean, so that's why that's why this is such a fascinating thing, because you knew by not bringing Kirk Cousins back, you were going to surround whoever it was with a ton of talent. I mean, a ton of talent, and they get a healthy. I'm blanking on the name, the tight end, TJ Hawkinson. He comes back probably early September, late August. So maybe he's able to play all season. But so you have a great tight end, you have good wide receivers, you have Aaron Jones at running back. The offensive line is surprisingly good.
Yeah.
And then you have Sam Darnold and J.J. McCarthy at quarterback. So, but Darnold has, I guess, just been lighting up.
Well, he's got O'Connell.
Here's the thing about O'Connell. He has to prove that it's not just Kirk Cousins that can run his offense.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. O'Connell's I think he's fantastic. And plus, Ravi over here is like Adolfo Mensa to the nth degree, because he's been trying to make the case all last hour that you don't pay a starting quarterback a ton of money and get a guy on a rookie deal if you want to win. And Minnesota's doing both. Like, hire Ravi as your general manager. He's tried to make this case all morning.
Well, so my point
would Ravi would Ravi draft Lewis Cine instead of just taking Kyle Hamilton at pick 14? Would Ravi be that dumb? Would Ravi take was it Jordan Davis, the defensive lineman for the Eagles? Just two massive holes in your lineup. But hey, you got Lewis Cine. He was a healthy scratch for 10 weeks last year. First round pick. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie though. His film, I liked him. He looked fantastic. But you can't get.
You know who looked fantastic?
You can't gauge 1-2. You can't get. No, I'm with you.
Best safety prospect in years. No, we don't need him.
But wait, those Schaefer. No, see, that's kind of revisionist history. Because remember, the thing about Hamilton was people didn't feel like he had elite bend or athleticism. He was multiple, but they didn't know about his athletic. Because he even started to kind of get a little towards the draft. The Ravens, the way they use him, he's everywhere.
Yeah, well, he's really good. He was like viewed as a top 5 pick, going into sort of the combine. And then, people talk themselves into other things. And safety isn't a premium position, so it's hard to use a top 5 pick on that. But if you're going to take a safety, you should probably take the one that people regard as a potential top 5 pick, not the guy who most people regarded as a second-round player.
Schaefer, so let me ask you this, right? Because
Michael Jeremiah Schaefer for drafts.
Your franchise is basically the epitome of the options I feel like NFL teams have when they don't have the elite quarterback, right? You've got a pretty good guy.
Never had the elite quarterback? I've never seen an elite quarterback in Minnesota.
You keep Frank Markin's name out of your mouth.
Overrated.
Well, I mean, Ravi, this might surprise you. I was born in 1987, so Fran was
me too.
Not really. When we talk about what I can see, I can watch the highlight of him spiking the ball off the Patriots defender.
Hey, for big Kramer guy.
You can't tell me that
you did see 47-11 for a year.
Favorite Vikings coach, Bud Grant.
That one Randall Cunningham year was pretty sick.
I mean, that was great. That one Brett Favre year was pretty good up until that last throw.
My favorite thing about Brett Favre is he ended like 3 consecutive seasons, and I think they were his 3 last seasons with an interception, which feels like the most fitting thing on the planet. No, my question, though, because you're in a really unique position of your franchise is the exact example of what we've been talking about for the last hour, is if you don't have an elite quarterback, would you rather have paid Kirk Cousins? Now, the injury complicates things a little bit. Would you rather have paid elite money for a pretty good quarterback with Kirk Cousins, or say, hey, we're going to draft a guy and get a bridge guy and try and be awesome everywhere else? Because, can you sit here and tell me with a straight face that you think you were a Super Bowl team with Kirk Cousins?
I mean, I think they were in 2022.
But they weren't, though.
Do you think they just happened to win 13 games by accident, Ravi?
Winning 13 regular season games and winning a Super Bowl are very different.
Did you think the Rams were a Super Bowl winning team in 2021 when your 49ers dropped an interception that allowed them to go to the Super Bowl?
You're digging.
Were they a Super Bowl winning team?
I was just getting ready to say digging himself a hole here.
Were they a Super Bowl winning team when it took Matthew Stafford to throw a 75-yard pass against the Bucs in a crazy division? It's the NFL. You have to get into the playoffs to have a chance. Getting into the playoffs consistently gives you a chance. Random years like 2021 happens. I mean, yes, Patrick Mahomes makes it really hard for anyone else to win a Super Bowl. But
so you rather would have paid Cousins? Is that that's my question?
If my options are to pay Cousins or to draft the 5th quarterback in the draft with the 11th pick, actually moving up one spot to the 10th pick, so I have Mike Sauter texting me all summer about what they were able to get out of that 1-pick trade.
He's a texting monster.
When he gets on one, he's on one.
Oh yeah.
So I would imagine the first time that guy has a pancake, I'm going to get like 75 videos of it in slow motion.
And if the Jets go 4-0, it's over.
I think I think you're going to get 100 texts once you figure out how to pronounce his tackle's name. That's what's going to happen.
I think they had options. I mean, ultimately, it did not seem like they could get Kirk Cousins in this cycle for what they could have if they were willing to have extended him last year before the season started. I mean, so that's part of it, is that they put themselves in a situation where you let a guy get $150 million guaranteed. So, they didn't go into that. Like they had made their decision before the season started in 2023. I feel pretty confident of that. I mean, otherwise you would have tried to extend him beforehand, because you only can make him more expensive, or, just make the decision obvious if it doesn't go well. And I feel like in Kevin O'Connell's offense, he'd be pretty good. Now, 36, Achilles tear, it's not the worst thing that they're moving on from him. Like, I'm okay with that. It's the decision to draft J.J. McCarthy when I don't even think that they valued him as one of their 4 favorite quarterbacks. They like Penix more. Like, it's just a weird deal. And then everyone thinks, okay, you have to take a quarterback. So then you go take the quarterback. I mean, it's just frustrating, because now you're in a situation where if Sam Darnold struggles at all, then you immediately have to throw in a guy who's probably not ready to play. Like, I didn't believe in J.J. McCarthy, so it's hard for me to get excited about this scenario. I am intrigued by Sam Darnold. I mean, there's a reason he was drafted as high as he was. There's a reason that multiple coaches have been excited about him. And maybe Kevin O'Connell can unlock that. But and maybe he can be the Geno Smith / Baker Mayfield of 2024. I mean, we've had a little bit of run of that, where a team can sneak into the playoffs with, a former highly regarded quarterback on another team. But it just feels like they didn't prepare. They built their roster in such a way that they just somehow allowed the quarterback equation to get so far that this is sort of where they have to be. I don't even know that it's a strategy. It's just kind of the box that they put themselves in.
Schaefer, I'm asking you this because you're pretty good balance to me. You kind of run even keel and pretty matter of fact.
Depends on the topic.
I like personalities. I've said this from the jump. This is even before, this was during the struggles, and I'm a big Satterfield guy. I love his personality. I think they needed his conviction and kind of his Teflon attitude when that offense was a mess. He didn't pay attention to all the criticisms. His coach in the offseason said, hey, listen, you know what? We're going to go with a position change here. We're going to play to his emotional strengths. Last night, he reiterates, talking to the great Greg Sharp, that on Husker Sports Nightly, that, hey, my personality didn't maybe mesh as well. I love where I'm at. Can personality be a thing for this Nebraska coaching staff as they try to get the best out of their players? Can we get into personality types?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard for me from the outside, because you don't get to spend enough time around them. Like Satterfield is one of the coaches I've spent more time around, because I've seen him out on the golf course and everything else.
I love him.
He's a jovial guy. Like, he's you wouldn't think that, considering how many thousands of people are calling for his job every minute that he's having to live in the state of Nebraska, that he would be as happy as he is. But he's a pretty happy guy. I mean, I have a tough time, and I felt this way with Eric Shenander, because this happened immediately in 2018. Like, people think a new coordinator is just going to come in and fix everything immediately. And sometimes you just have to allow, and obviously Tony White was able to do a really good job with that, but the offense never got to go in any direction other than sideways last year. I mean, you had backups at every position. You didn't have a lot of depth. I mean, the one thing that went well for your offense was your offensive line seemed to stabilize, and you could find, you found an Emmett Johnson late in the year that could be a reliable player for you. You had some freshmen get their feet wet. But imagine trying to call plays when you don't even really know what personnel you're going to have available to you every Saturday going forward. And then on top of it, you're shifting your offense in the middle of the year to better situate one quarterback, because the guy that you were betting on mentally just doesn't have it. Like, he can't perform for you. So I think I have a lot more grace, for Marcus Satterfield than most people do, if only because I don't know what he was supposed to do last year with the situation that they were in. I thought they made the most of it, and they just couldn't finish the job.
I want you to listen to this clip. You and I have had conversations about this guy I think he's really, really good. It's not just because he's a neighbor. It's just because I think he was misunderstood during his recruitment after he flipped from Pittsburgh. Everybody talked about this whole tackle thing, and one of these guys has got to move. Listen to Coach Satterfield talk about Eric Ingerson last night, and then let me know how this pits against what you saw in your evals versus kind of what you think now. Shane, cue this up.
Eric Ingerson, Ian Flint, two newbies into the program as well. Your thoughts about those guys?
Really excited. They got here this summer, and Ian got here in January. So Ian, had a whole off season to learn the offense and to practice against Big Ten, defensive linemen. Eric got here in the summer. Eric would come, during the spring and to some of our meetings and stuff. But it's good to get those guys up and going. Eric's got a huge frame, and he's got tremendous upside. He's got great length. He is a very hyper-competitive human being that does not like to lose. He's very physical. Really excited about him.
Does that sound like a guy that's potentially moving the tackle?
Not anytime soon. But I think the hard thing that people have with the tight end room is that Nebraska wants a multitude of different options in there. They want redwoods like Eric Ingerson and Luke Lindenmeyer that you can do.
Redwood.
What else do you call it?
Dude, he is a giant.
Yeah, so they want these like bigger guys because they want to be physical on the edge. They want to be able to do that. And then they also want the wide receiver types, the Thomas Fidonis, the Carter Nelsons, if they would have been able to land them, the Braden Loftus.
Quinn Clark.
They want to be able to pair these things together. And so you get sort of both of them. Now, where it comes down for me is that they took Carter Nelson, Eric Ingerson, Ian Flint last year. There was talk that Quinn Clark could just keep growing into being a tight end. Ultimately, one of those guys is going to end up having to change positions.
And the crazy thing is Smith Flores is the one that moved.
Yeah, well, and that's
now he's playing Carter. Now he's playing defense, and Carter Nelson could play some wideout.
Yeah, I think the Carter Nelson wideout thing is more for this year.
I agree.
And then you let him body kind of build under Corey Campbell. I just don't think you can stick that guy in an inline situation and have any success with him.
I don't know if you can throw him jump balls either. I know that's not popular, and I know what Coach Rule said about moving to wide receiver. I'll just be curious. He's in a deep room. There's a lot of nuances. He's not a natural.
Yeah, I think it's a chance to let him grow and grow.
Yeah, that's what if I was going to play the long game, I'm cool. I don't want people to panic if it isn't something immediate. It's hard.
Yeah. Well, I think you also, I got to be careful as to how I say this because I don't want to misrepresent anything. I'm not trying to be simple here.
I got to be careful here.
I think, let's take Malachi Coleman, Jalen Lloyd, Carter Nelson.
Okay.
They all have different personalities. You have to utilize and get them on the field differently as freshmen to fit those different personalities. Some of them you have to find ways to get them on the field more because that might be what their personality wants. Some of them need more time to develop, and so you can't put them out there and let them fail because you don't want their personality or their confidence to erode. Mm-hmm. I think you have to look at it, and these are all local guys, and the reason that I'm choosing them is that they're known names. People would have expected Carter Nelson to play in the UTEP game as a tight end. And so I think part of why you're moving him at wide receiver, or you're saying he's at wide receiver, it's a deeper position. It's less likely you have to put him in there. When you do put him in, it's more in the area of the game that he's going to be helpful for you. I just think you're sort of establishing early to minimize some of the expectations of what people would have for a guy that was a top 50 recruit. And so a name that people have known for a while, and that you won over Georgia and everything else. When it was Malachi Coleman last year, I think some of it was you wanted to get him on the field, not just because people knew who he was, but because Malachi was pushing to get on the field. I think you have to sort of marry what you're trying to do, especially in 2024 with NIL and the transfer portal and everything else. That way you're lining up with how these guys feel, what their thought process is. And that way you can also build confidence as you continue to build and grow them as players.
We're talking with Mike Schaefer from Husker 24/7. Schaefer, I find it interesting, not only Satterfield yesterday, but Rule said this multiple times, where they just have it as a given. They go, oh, we're going to be able to run the football. we're going to be able to run the football, right? When they say it with a confidence that I find a little bit surprising, but maybe it's because I'm not in love with the running back room the way other people seem to be a little higher on it than I am. But do you see that as more of a reflection of like, hey, with the offensive line we had, with all those guys coming back, we ran the ball pretty well last year despite not having anything to keep anybody else honest. So they're like, it's only going to get that much easier this year? Or like, where do you attribute that level of confidence that we seem to keep hearing about the running game?
Yeah, I think you're onto something with how you phrase it there. I think a lot of it is built on the idea that you're going to have a veteran offensive line. You're not going to be able to see these. I go back to that Purdue game. Ryan Walters was one of the first to do this. He basically just has 9 guys in the box. And he's like, good luck. And they didn't really score a lot in that game. They hit on a couple big plays. I think one was the option pass early. But otherwise, I mean, for the most part, they took away Heinrich Harburg and they gave the recipe for what Michigan State and Maryland and Wisconsin and Iowa would do in the subsequent 4 weeks. And so I think part of why they feel better about running the football is that you're not going to have 9 guys sitting in the box. The difficulty I have is that clearly, even when Emmett Johnson would have, the occasional big run, your best runner or your best big plays were still Heinrich Harburg, whether they were scrambles, whether they were designed quarterback runs. How you replace that and what that ultimately looks like in this offense, those are questions that I have. So it's hard for me to just sort of buy in completely. And going back to something else Ravi said, I am also not in love with this running back room. I haven't been in love with the Nebraska running back room in some time. And maybe I will be completely wrong on this. But until they actually can just do it consistently, like if they can go run down Colorado's throat, that'll get my attention. Otherwise, I just don't know that I trust that on 3rd and 2, they can just turn around, give the ball off. The offensive line is going to fire off and you're going to get the yards that you need. I have a real hesitation that when it gets in close, they're going to struggle in the red zone to run the ball. And I think they're going to struggle in 4th and 3rd and short situations.
And in your defense, it's not just this year. I'm one of the few people that remember a couple of famous running back rants about where all the good running backs that you
I think
had.
it's been going on for, I don't know, when did
since Amir, so I don't look at that as an indictment. It's just your consistency. You know what you want in the backfield.
I miss good running backs. That's how I feel.
Hey, you and me both, Schaefer. We appreciate the time as always. Good stuff there. Hopefully, we didn't give you too much anxiety about the Vikings' upcoming season, but we appreciate the time as always, Schaefer.
General Manager Mike Schaefer.
Coming fast. All right, guys, have a good one.
Thanks.
That's Mike J. Schaefer, Husker 24/7. We've got more Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next.
We will be back. 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 You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Welcome back to Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We're also on KFOR for this third hour as well. Really appreciate our guy, Mike J. Schaefer. Good stuff there. I didn't want to pile on.
Yes, you did.
I did want to
Yes,
pile
you
on.
did. You're childish.
We ran out of time. Otherwise, I definitely would have piled on. His 2022 Minnesota Vikings that he said were a Super Bowl team with Kirk Cousins. You want to guess what their average point differential was for the season?
Is this PGs?
Average points per game.
6.
Plus 6?
Minus 6.
No. But you're guessing. You were guessing basically plus a touchdown, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, minus 0.2.
Eesh.
They were 28th out of 32 teams in defense that year. That's not a Super Bowl team. They went 13-4. That's nice.
I mean,
no, it's not.
No, I think it's
no, it's not. I mean, come on.
Okay.
This is my point, though, right? So you're paying. Kirk Cousins is getting paid at this point.
You're stuck on that, aren't you?
Kirk Cousins is getting paid at this point. Is Kirk Cousins the version of Kirk Cousins that
you know?
get?
You know how I'd have landed the plane if I was Schaefer. I'm good at listening to other people. I'm not sometimes good like real time, but when I'm not in the conversation,
it's easier,
right?
Yeah.
If I was Schaefer, I would have just said it's a lot easier to get to the playoffs with a good quarterback than without. And once you get to the playoffs, you got a chance. So it's not Super Bowl or bust like you painted it, and it's not we have a sucky quarterback like he painted it. It was if you have a competent quarterback, you at least have a chance, and that's what everybody wants.
So that's the thing that if you want to say that out loud to me, be like, hey, we have to get to the playoffs, and then we will take our chances.
Yeah, I mean, how many wild cards you seen win championships?
Okay, but who are the quarterbacks in most of those wild card teams, or what do their defense look like? Right, like most of the time, we'll take our chances.
Do you think Ben Roethlisberger is elite?
He's in the upper echelon.
Yeah, he doesn't get talked about.
He doesn't. Enough. But like, if you're talking to, he's.
Because I think they won it as a 6.
He's better than Eli. Yeah, but a lot of those teams are like, oh, they figure it out late or whatever.
Amazing Daniel chiming in. Like, listen, man.
Eli's not like that. He had a good few games.
And I'm not saying I'm not saying he was bad. I'm just saying,
but he's not that guy. He's not that guy. He is the outlier in the conversation that I'm talking about. Because go look at everybody else. They are either cheap or they're elite. One or the other.
Yeah.
You don't get
good quarter. He's fine.
Mid guys getting paid when you Super Bowls. That's the point. If you're like, hey, we are just trying to make the playoffs.
It's so great to watch these college football playoffs. I watched South Dakota State and Montana last night.
Yeah.
I'm such a junkie.
Yeah, you're a sicko.
Oh, 100%. But
I'll watch FCS playoffs live. I'm not going back for a rewatch in July, DB.
I watched 2 teams in New York play about 2 weeks ago the night before Indy.
Yeah.
And I can't even remember who it was. I had to look up where they were.
Like my rewatches
I think it was the D3 championship.
Oh my God.
No, it was on ESPN. Come on, man. I'm rolling. Picture me rolling. I had never heard of the college. If you can believe, I had never heard of the college.
I mean, it's a D3. Yeah, I can believe it.
Yeah, but if you're good, I probably have known.
You big Hobart guy?
Yeah, wow. Back up off.
Big Wartburg?
Yep. Jerk. Speaking of which, courtesy, thank you to Husker Sports Nightly and the fantastic Greg Sharp for the clip, because even though 590 we are the affiliate,
yeah,
I do feel it is
It's
appropriate.
all familial.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's credit your sources. Yeah, I like it.
I like to credit the sources.
And the source that told me that Minnesota was 28th out of 32 teams in defense that year was ProFootballReference.com.
Don't be petty.
Been using them a lot today. We appreciate that.
Don't be petty. Pretty happy about. Obviously, with Smith Flores moving, which I don't think I was breaking any news.
No, it's on their website. It's
not that people are going to the website,
but it's on the roster. It's not a secret.
So I'm cool with that. But
not like some other things you've dropped on accident before.
I'm getting better. Okay, jerk. Yeah, it just depends on how closely you listen. Like I've stayed off a few.
What's TJ doing these days?
Anyway,
it's a wrong question.
Anywho,
what's up?
I am happy about. Speaking of that dumb color shirt you have, it is a Monarch thing, so I am happy about
Ingerson.
Yeah. Why am I happy about Ingerson, Ravi?
Because you like how he carries himself.
But okay, but I just felt like when he was being recruited, kind of like the Tyson Terry thing. I'm confident that I know what I'm looking at.
Yeah, well, and the thing with
I just hate how
I
hate how
he wasn't very good until he decided to commit to Nebraska.
That bugs me.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, he's going to Pitt. He must not be that good." It's like, no, he's pretty good.
Okay, so you know my, I can't stand that.
Yeah,
and I don't care. Sometimes you're a good We
did it with Dylan, for God's sake. Okay, we did it with Dylan Raiola.
Do you remember real time when I had to say
when he committed to Georgia?
Be careful.
Yes,
with what you say.
When he committed
when
he committed to Georgia, it was like, oh man, he goes to all these different high schools and blah blah blah, and like, is he really that good? It's just hype. It's like, hey, chill, man. If he's good, he's good, whether he's coming to Nebraska or not.
And listen,
if he's good, he's good.
And I said this after the 7-on-7 championship last year. And it wasn't just because he was good to me. He kept score for us.
Yeah.
Like Papio had gotten beaten in the earlier rounds, but I went and watched him just because I cheer for him, obviously. So I'm like, hey, this guy's really good, right? Now, the passing offense wasn't what it really needed to be, but what was my favorite thing about him that I told you? He doesn't need a what?
Doesn't need a babysitter.
See, I'm riding with those guys. every day that ends in Y. College football is really, really hard.
Yes.
At that level, it is really, really hard. What's the A word that we heard all those players use at Big Ten Media Days? Accountable, right? Not making that up, right?
Nope.
So you have to be able to go to work. If you're in Butler's room, or any of these guys' room, Satterfield,
if you are anywhere on a Matt Rule team,
you better be able to handle rigor.
Yeah. Well,
and so if it's about competitiveness and doing your own thing when nobody's watching, I'll take that guy. That's why I'll ride with Terry. Right? That's why I'll ride with Caleb. Like, you just get this. You have to pick up on the traits that will allow you to be successful when somebody's not always talking to you.
You know what's funny is, you throw Caleb in there, and my snarky self is like, well, there's some other reasons you ride with Caleb too. But I know you. If he wasn't like that, you just wouldn't say anything.
I wouldn't.
You just would sit there. You wouldn't say anything.
Yep. I like
you would just chill.
Like if I thought deep down he was soft or kind of a baby,
you wouldn't throw him under the bus. But you wouldn't say anything.
No, I just, and that's typically what I do.
Yes,
I won't bus roll guys.
You're not like me. You don't like killing people.
Nope, I won't bus roll, especially if they're young.
Yeah, high school guys you don't like.
I just won't bring them up.
You just won't talk about it.
So if I'm omitting
or
guys,
you'll find something to say, but it's kind of vague and weird, and you're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
BB?
it's like that's 100%.
That's how you roll.
That's 100% accurate.
You know what's funny about
that tight end room is deep. And it's deeper than people think. We just had
versatile. It's deep and versatile.
We just had a 9-minute conversation out of the first 14 that we didn't still talking about the Vikings, and we didn't even bring up Borkature.
Yeah, who played a lot last year and is going to play a lot this year.
Who is arguably the most consistent guy in the room.
Yeah. Not the most dynamic, but consistent.
Borkature is probably the most steady of the bunch in that room currently.
You know what's funny about Ingerson, though?
What?
Is I've been saying this for a year. If he moves position, it's not to tackle.
Yeah, you're consistent. You said he'd flip over and play D.
He'd be
what
a
game
DN.
did you fall in love with him playing DN?
Miller North.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, Miller North. He was.
I remember that So because that game was on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was at that one. I went to that one live.
And I
because Prestito was just whoop.
Yeah,
he was eating them.
Listen, he's nice.
There was a little screen. They could not guard the screen pass to save their life. Anyway, but
you knew they were in trouble. Like, wasn't it the opening series is like 3rd and 17, and they threw the little swing?
Yeah,
to Prestito, and he got the first down. I was like, yeah,
it's how they sealed the game too.
These guys are gonna be in trouble.
It's how they sealed the game too. But Ingerson was destroying. Like, he was eating.
Yeah,
and just totally disruptive. And if you're not paying attention, you're gonna be like, well, he didn't have like 3 sacks or like a bunch of he was disruptive.
That's why I just don't get into stats.
Yeah, especially at the high school level, like, it's really hard. We're talking about
you need a lot of things to go right.
We're talking about Nebraska quarterbacks earlier, right? Like, it's really hard to judge Nebraska quarterbacks statistically, especially pre 2004, right?
Yeah.
Really difficult to judge them statistically. That Ingerson game against Miller North, and then I think I saw him a couple other times last year too. He is disruptive on defense. For a guy that big, really good bend, really good body control, and sneaky explosive in short spaces.
Yeah.
Like, he is a really good defensive end. If he moves, it's not to tackle.
And just that room, the versatility with
lots of different body types, lots of different skill sets.
Borkature, Luke. I mean, any of these guys, it's like, again, when you break the huddle and you get into personnel groups and guys can do multiple things, it's why I have gray. Well, bad kids are why I have gray in my beard. But as a defensive guy, it's a headache.
Good idea figuring out where Fedoni's going to line up at any given time. Have fun with that.
Right.
I've watched it with the 49ers the last 3 years. It's a lot of fun when it's your team. It's not a lot of fun to game plan against. We'll wrap up the show. Coming up next.
We will be back. will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Welcome back to Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR in Lincoln. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. Don't forget to go to hurrdatsports.com to order your Hale Varsity Football Yearbook for the 2024 year. There's a conversation with myself and DB in there that I thought was very interesting and not at all over the scheduled time that I told him it would take for that particular
You weren't
interview.
even within 20 minutes.
That was Sasha's fault. I was done at 30 minutes, and then she decided to ask you more questions.
I don't believe you were within that window.
I was closer. I think I was at like 38. I think I was in the neighborhood.
I love how you round up.
Well, I'm not rounding down to 38. I do want to revisit, since we've been talking about quarterbacks.
By the way, it was Cortland.
Yeah, Cortland
won a D3 title. They beat North Central.
Congrats to Cortland.
They're in like New York. I mean, they were balling. It was like 40-39 or 39-38 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was on.
Good ball game.
It was spectacular.
Yeah.
Because I think going in, North Central was like supposed to be the team.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Pride of Chicagoland.
Yeah. Now I'm watching Harding versus the Mines. Whatever, man.
You're like people kind of sleep on this. You're like the football Jacob Padilla with the stuff you watch.
Yeah, it's weird.
Hit the basketball that dude watches. I'm just like, man.
But I kind of like that too, which is why he and I vibe.
Yeah, you guys are sickos.
Like I like a lot of the the off-brand basketball.
Like, I'll watch some obscure stuff.
Like,
you guys,
what's wrong with watching Summer League or G League?
You guys make
RIP.
me. You guys make me look like a casual fan.
Yeah,
and that's certainly not the case.
Which is why I was so giddy when he was posting all the video clips on Bryce last year before he got to Nebraska coming from Charlotte.
Yeah,
I was like, this might be the greatest thing I've ever seen. People are like, what? I could just appreciate the deep dive into a random.
Yeah, he was doing the the scouting report. It was really, really good.
It was incredible.
Yeah, for sure.
This is TMI. I was supposed to be taking a shower. It's one of those like dudes do where they turn on the water, but they don't really get in yet.
Yeah.
I don't know why we do that. I sat on the floor leaning against my dresser or the drawer, and I just read it. I just read the write up while the shower water's running. It's the dumbest thing ever. And I get up and I was like, why are you in there for 19 minutes?
It's like, well, I was only in there for 5. I was sitting on the floor.
I was like, 8 of it was spent reading. The other 11 was spent getting actually clean. But anyway,
that thing wet.
So yeah.
You're mad about the quarterback deal.
No, I'm not mad. I want us to be honest about the quarterback.
Who's
deal.
we?
Just as the royal we as a society. I want us to be, because there's a larger issue here that I would like to discuss.
Yeah. Why you got Kravanek mad at you?
No, I wasn't even looking.
No, because you were hating on Tua, and he said he's better than Goff, and statistically they're very, very close.
I'm taking Goff over Tua. It's an eyeball thing for me.
I know one thing.
Yeah.
If Tua played indoors, you wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
And not that playing in Miami is worse than playing inside.
Sure.
But I mean,
and it's fair. Listen, there's variables here, but I'm just telling you from gut check, my eyeball, I'll take Goff over Tua.
Shoot, man, not everybody's able to have Mahomes.
That's true. Yeah, it's nice to be a Kansas City Chiefs fan. Here's what I want to talk about, though, because
I don't know about that.
Dude, it's Mahomes and everybody else.
It's not even close. Like, it's
Mahomes is the only guy that I think the league is like, some things have to go right to beat that guy. You saw Josh Allen play out of his gourd.
Mm-hmm.
And in 50 seconds, when they scored 2,000 points in the last ticks of time, you never felt like you were going to win that game because they had Mahomes.
I'm sitting there.
Do you know how discouraging that is?
I'm sitting there the entire. Yeah, I do notice. I was watching.
We're going to do this thing again
last year with my favorite team.
Yeah, getting outplayed almost the whole time.
And then it's just like, and I'm sitting there. And I go,
whenever he gets ready,
can't have the ball last. He can't have the ball last.
No.
Cannot have the ball last. Like, no matter how much time is left, then they score first in overtime. And they're like, we needed 7 there. 3's not going to cut it.
He's amazing.
Like, you have to play perfect.
I would have loved to have seen he and McBrady
primes,
prime Brady,
yes.
prime Mahomes.
I'd even take like a prime Rodgers in there, but Rodgers is a little goofy in the head, so I don't know.
Rodgers doesn't have the notches in his belt.
He doesn't. But talent-wise, yeah. I would love to see prime Brady versus prime Mahomes.
And I'm not hating on Rodgers. Like, if I'm
but he doesn't have the resume.
If I'm in a lab,
but he doesn't have the resume.
I'm building Mahomes
pretty close
and Rodgers before I build Brady.
100%. But Rodgers just doesn't have the resume. But so I'm part of the reason this has been in my head so much about, like, okay, can we just admit that some teams aren't, like, a championship isn't their top priority, is because I'm watching some of the moves before the trade deadline. You got the MLB trade deadline tomorrow. And then I'm watching. And
Shane, we're talking Major League Baseball tomorrow.
And then
I've been trying.
And then I'm watching.
Not good enough.
I'm watching some of the moves that these teams are making. And I'm like, okay, does this team think they're a reliever away from, like, what are the Cubs doing? Like, do they think they're,
There's only a handful of teams that are a reliever away. I'm glad you used that, like the Yankees.
Yeah, that's what, like, you see these moves, and you're like, are they really a reliever away, or are they a bat away? And so I'm kind of going like, okay, so is it just, hey, we really want to make sure we make the playoffs this year? Go ahead. Yes, sir.
In baseball,
Mr. Benning, go ahead.
Is in baseball, if you believe in anything's possible in the playoffs,
sure.
Have you reconciled in your head just winning the division versus being able to play for the pennant?
I'll be honest, I haven't thought about it.
Because that changes the discussion. If I'm the Cubs and I got to run down the Brewers and the Cardinals, that's different than if I have to beat the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Which is why, if you're just using the Cubs as an example, which is why I think they're making moves for 25 and 26.
Which is fair.
And not 24.
Which is totally fair. But I'm sitting there and I go, okay, if you're a Cubs fan, you're like, okay, maybe this helps us make the playoffs this year, maybe, but it definitely helps us next year. But a lot of these are 1 year, half year rental deals that you end up seeing at the deadline, like they always are. And like, is it okay to say like, hey, it's important for our fan base, it's important for our franchise. We've got a little bit of a playoff drought here. We've got a chance. Like, let's just make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Right. Even if you're not
like, are you asking yourself if Miller is really hurt on the IL for the A's, or is they just not want him to be attractive?
Yeah. Like,
it's not like teams are going to be just like, how hurt is he?
Right. Or maybe you want him to have to overpay or whatever. Right. I think it's okay to admit, like we saw it last night with I was watching on replay. I don't remember what time of the day it actually happened. Right. But so I'm watching the U.S. men's gymnastics team last night in the Olympics. Mm-hmm. They won a bronze medal. They broke a 16-year medal drought in the men's team competition in the gymnastics. They celebrated like they won gold, right? And I'm okay with that.
Wow, Ravi here for
I'm not hating
being a fun killer.
I was happy for them. I was happy they made the podium as well, right? But that it just kind of goes to my point. Like, a win for U.S. men's gymnastics this year was getting back on the podium. A win for certain franchises is getting back in the playoffs. But we talk about these, Ryan Russillo actually did like a pretty good thing about the NBA, where like when the New York Knicks were trying to get Donovan Mitchell and he ends up going to the Cleveland Cavaliers, and all these people are like, well, does Donovan Mitchell win the Knicks the title? It's like, no, but it makes him a better team, right? Like, does that have to be the end goal? Or can we just say out loud, it's okay just to be in the playoffs?
Yeah, but so I kind of don't get it, though, because re-signing Tua makes Miami a better team.
And that's fine. I'm saying if you're okay just saying that.
Do you know what I mean?
No, I do.
Okay.
If you're okay just saying that, if you're okay saying, hey, we had 20 bad years of quarterback play before this, and I don't want to go through another Cleo Lemon or a Matt Moore, which is one that our guy Jason Cole forgot, or a Chad Henne or whatever, Chad Pennington or whoever else. I think Fitzpatrick.
He's a little bit too much of a brain dead.
I think Ryan Fitzpatrick was in that. Like, if you're just okay with that and being like, hey, I want to have competent quarterback play and I want to make the playoff more years than not. If that's the thing you're saying to me, then go ahead and sign Tua. Go ahead and re-sign Kirk Cousins. I'm fine with that.
Why does there have to be some outward proclamation of something that you probably already know?
But do they know it? That's my question, because I don't know if there's an internal proclamation either.
We're not the smartest dudes. Like, they're smart. Like,
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know. You're pretty smart.
I believe you think. I believe you're serious.
I do. I think you're really smart.
So you rather hop in and be Chris Greer?
In terms of
balancing the books.
I think there is some economics of the quarterback position that don't make any sense. I do. I genuinely believe
I'm just telling you, it's like I would.
Unless
if I was Schaefer and I wanted to drop the mic, I'm like, having competent quarterback play gives you a better chance than not.
Unless you're willing to say that at the end of the day, you would rather be at least competent, and even though you know the formula of what wins Super Bowls.
So why aren't you drilling Jacksonville on Lawrence's deal?
Because I don't think they're close. Like, Miami is closer than Jacksonville.
So you might as well just waste money?
No, they are wasting money. I'm not saying they're not wasting money. You could throw Trevor in that same conversation. I don't have a problem with that. Trevor Lawrence shouldn't have got paid what he got paid either. He shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Pick a guy. Trevor Lawrence, Kyler Murray, Jordan Love.
Tua,
pick a guy.
I'm telling you, Trevor Lawrence is not Trevor Lawrence.
Kyler. You like Kyler as a bounce back?
I do.
And I still don't think it's going to matter.
Yeah, because they got to jump some teams.
Yeah, they got to jump teams in the division, and that's kind of my point, though. Like, if you have to be able, is it okay just to say out loud, or at least internally, like, hey, we get this is not a Super Bowl team, but we're better, we're competitive, and we like our chances for the playoffs.
But I think you're kind of missing the point, though, at the end of the day, because those teams are supposed to be selling a vision and hope to that fan base.
Okay.
And so when you keep good players, it's, hey, we're trying, versus, hey, we're not.
Sounds like the Cowboys.
No, we even really get into that. They're just flat out bizarre.
Yeah, there's a weird situation.
No CD deal, no Dak deal, no Micah deal. Your best defensive player doesn't even like your coordinator. Your owner runs his cake hole incessantly, and it's like, what are we doing?
I don't know, but tomorrow come back for more incessant cake hole running here on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
See you. Have a good day. Love you.